Chapter 1. Dochi Continent. Magic Beast Mountain Range, Outskirts. There was a loud noise in the sky. A meteor suddenly appeared and smashed down. In the deep pit, a young man stood up, unharmed. I'm not dead. What's with that sound? Did I really transmigrate? Chubei looked around and muttered to himself, dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, he was sitting in the passenger seat of his friend's truck. However, the smog was too heavy, and visibility was only 20 meters. No matter how good his friend's driving skills were, he still couldn't avoid a small car that was going at 100 kilometers per hour. It hit. The car flipped. However, just as Chubei's mind was blank and ready to feel the kiss of death, a dazzling golden light enveloped him. When he came back to his senses, he was already deep in the forest. Celestial Mall System activated. Progress 1%. Celestial Mall System activated. Progress 1%. Celestial Mall System activated. Progress 1%. At this moment, the mechanical sound that he heard when the car flipped rang in Chubei's mind again. 6 hours later. F***CK. Why is this system still at 1%? Chubei leaned against a towering ancient tree and listened to the howling of wolves around him. He couldn't help but shrink his neck. At the same time, he cursed the system in his mind. This was the system's so-called activation. It took too long. 100 years later. Kama Empire, Wutan City. Ani Street, the most prosperous street in the city. There were many markets in it, and people came and went. It was very lively. At this moment, a young man in a gray robe was walking on the street with a bag of vegetables. Quick, look! That guy is out to buy vegetables again. Who the hell is this guy? Shoo! I heard from my grandfather that he's a vagrant. But this guy is very strange. When my grandfather was my age, he was like this. I heard that he's already 80 years old and hasn't married yet. Do you think he ate some kind of heaven and earth treasure by mistake? Otherwise, why is he still so young? Maybe he was born a freak. On one side of the street, there were people gathered in groups of 3 to 5, pointing at the young man. The gray-robed youth who was carrying a bag of vegetables was Chubei, who had transmigrated here. Chubei seemed to have been accustomed to the gossip on the streets, and he just shook his head and paid no attention to it at all. On the day he transmigrated, he was at the periphery of a mountain range. Fortunately, he had seen Bear Grylls' survival in the wilderness. He had barely survived and walked out of the mountain range. After coming to Wutan City, he spent several years learning the language of this continent, under countless strange gazes. Finally, Chubei knew where he had transmigrated to. The world of battle through the heavens. The Dochi continent was a world where everyone practiced Dochi. After passing through the mountain range they had landed in, it was precisely the mountain range of magical beasts. 100 years had passed since the day he had transmigrated. If one were to evaluate what Chubei had done in the past 100 years, mediocre. Mediocre. That's right, even though Chubei had been in the Dochi continent for 100 years, he still didn't have any Dochi on him. After countless failed attempts, Chubei accepted a fact. He was different from the people of this world. He couldn't absorb the abundant Dochi between heaven and earth. Because he couldn't cultivate, but he didn't age, Chubei was worried that he would be captured by the strong people of this world to be studied. Because of this, he lived in a very low profile for the past 100 years. It could be said that other than buying daily necessities, he didn't interact with anyone. In the eyes of the few people in the city who knew about Chubei, the latter was a freak who didn't fit in with them. In the past 100 years, Chubei had a deep understanding of the Dochi continent's way of survival as described in the book. Strength. In the Dochi continent, strength was the foundation of a foothold. The law of the jungle was the rule of this world. Killing and robbing were common. Even though Chubei had transmigrated from Earth, after 100 years of being influenced by what he had seen and heard, he had already become indifferent towards killing and robbing. As for why he didn't use the memories of battle through the heavens in his mind to find a reliable thigh. That was because Frowny Face Celestial Mall System Progress 99%, Celestial Mall System Progress 99%, Celestial Mall System Progress 99%. That's right, Chubei was waiting for this nuisance of a system's progress to reach 100%. He really didn't expect it. The system's progress would actually increase by 1% a year. Now that he thought about it, the systems that transmigrators and novels got were really good. Soon, Chubei walked to the end of the street. A relatively simple house was his residence. Another 3 days passed. Celestial Mall System Progress 100%. Congratulations to the host for activating the system. Chubei was still sleeping when he was suddenly awakened by the system's voice in his mind. This is activating? After regaining his senses, Chubei was stunned at first, then his face was full of excitement. 100 years! He had waited for 100 years. Buzz, buzz, buzz! At this moment, Chubei felt dizzy. Immediately after, he suddenly discovered that there was a strange light screen in his mind. There were countless images on the screen, and each image had a more detailed introduction. Chubei was shocked. There were high-level heaven-class fighting skills, emperor-grade pills, mystical flames that surpassed the Tu-Shi Ancient Emperor, embodiment transformation technique, 6 paths of reincarnation technique, 10-billion-year-old martial soul, secret techniques that could bring people back to life, King's Glory's armor, Emperor Divine armor, enhanced version of Devil Fruit, Bloodline Limit Ninjutsu Susanoo with both offense and defense, Infinity Gloves with 6 Infinity Stones. In short, the treasures that this celestial mall system had were only things that one could imagine. There was nothing that it didn't have. Of course, since it was a commodity, it had to be traded. If one wanted to obtain these treasures, they needed willpower to exchange them. What was willpower? Simply put, it could be the world's currency, pills, cultivation techniques, and so on. Anything with value could produce willpower. And as the host, if he wanted to obtain willpower, he could only do it through the method of drawing a commission. To put it simply, if a buyer used money or treasures to buy goods, after the system obtained the willpower, it would return half of the willpower as a reward. Unlike Chubei's direct exchange, if a buyer wanted to obtain goods from the Celestial Mall, they could only use the Lucky Wheel. The Lucky Wheel's level was different, and the value of the goods it could get was naturally different. To put it simply, what kind of financial resources played with what kind of wheel? If only the treasures I exchanged could be sold directly to the buyer. After having a preliminary understanding of the system, Chubei secretly cursed in his heart. From the looks of it, the goods he exchanged could only be used by himself, and the buyer could only randomly obtain the goods through the lucky wheel. What comforted Chubei was that he could choose a lucky roulette wheel for the buyer. For example, a roulette wheel related to alchemy, a roulette wheel that could increase one's battle energy, or a roulette wheel related to battle techniques. If not, this willpower would really be too difficult to earn. Shouldn't there be a newcomer's gift pack after activating the system? System activation successful, reward issued, 5,000 willpower. Just as Chubei finished muttering, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Hearing that, Chubei was overjoyed, and immediately checked the system's screen. As expected, at the bottom corner of the screen, the value behind the willpower had changed from 0 to 5,000. After thinking about it, Chubei did not use the 5,000 willpower to exchange for battle energy cultivation, but instead exchanged for 2 life-saving means: the celestial space and the invisible flying wings. The former's function was similar to a storage ring, but it surpassed the latter. Although the space was less than 100 cubic meters, it could accommodate people, and was worth 3,000 willpower. The latter was a pair of invisible wings that could be used at any time. Although its speed could not be compared to teleportation, it was enough for daily use, and was worth 2,000 willpower. Chapter 2. On the Other Side. Wutan City, one of the 3 great clans, the Shao family. The large plaza was filled with young men and women because today was the day the Shao family's younger generation would test their strength. The gazes of the young men and women all landed on the Devil Stone tablet in the center of the plaza. Xiaoyan Doji Qi, 3rd stage. Rank low. Beside the tablet, a middle-aged man glanced at the information displayed on the tablet, and then looked at the youth with his hand on the tablet. He shook his head and announced the result. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, there was a burst of laughter in the square, mixed with mockery. Still 3rd stage. Haha, it's just as I thought. His year of hard work was in vain. For him, this is already not bad. After all, he hasn't regressed. Right now, he's really a disgrace to our family. Everyone in Wutan City knows that our family's young master is trash. AI, this Xiaoyan is really pitiful. A former genius has fallen to such a state. In front of the Devil Stone tablet, the youth in green heard the mocking words of the people around him. His breathing became hurried and his hands couldn't help but clench. Is this my fate? The youth in green let out a self-deprecating laugh and then left the stage under the disdainful gazes of the crowd. Next, Xiao Suner! Following the middle-aged man's loud voice, the plaza suddenly quieted down. Everyone's gazes gathered on a young girl in a purple dress. Xiaoyan Gage. The purple-dressed girl looked at the azure-clothed youth who was walking over and called out. She stepped onto the high platform and stretched out her small hand, placing it on the Devil Stone tablet. Shwa! The Devil Stone tablet emitted a dazzling light. Xiao Suner Doji Qi, 9th stage. Rank high. The middle-aged man looked at the young girl in purple with praise. Miss Suner is actually at 9th stage. How terrifying! It seems that the title of number 1 in our clan's younger generation is hers. But this kind of genius girl is always following behind that trash Xiaoyan. It's really hard to accept. After the middle-aged man reported the results of the test, the square became noisy again. Everyone looked at Xiao Suner with eyes full of adoration. However, Xiao Suner did not care about the praises of the people around her. After testing her cultivation, she immediately jumped off the high platform and returned to the side of the youth in green who had been called a good-for-nothing. Suner, I'm afraid that if I give you another month, you'll be able to advance into a doja. The green-clothed youth stroked the purple-dressed girl's black hair. Big brother Xiaoyan, Suner believes that one day, you will make everyone look up to you again. Xiao Suner held Xiaoyan's arm. Let's hope so. Xiaoyan shook his head. His expression was desolate, and his words were self-deprecating. Another 6 hours had passed since Chu Bei activated the system. In these 6 hours, he used the wings of flight to fly around the sky, fully satisfying his craving. It was a kind of carefree feeling of having been suppressed for 100 years. Just like when someone moved out. When Chu Bei flew back to Wutan City and was not far from his residence, he heard a clamor. Looking down, he saw a bustling crowd of people gathered together as if they were watching a show. Isn't that the Xiao family's young master, Xiaoyan? What young master? He's just a good-for-nothing. Before the Xiao family's test, he was only at 3 Duan Qi. If it wasn't for his good father, he would have been kicked out of the Xiao family already. The youth in black is called Xiao Ning, the grandson of the Xiao family's grand elder. He's only 17 years old and has already reached 8 Duan Qi. From what I know, this Xiao Ning has always disliked Xiaoyan. Now it seems that Xiaoyan's situation is not good. If the genius girl, Xiao Suner, was here, maybe Xiaoyan could have avoided this disaster. What a pity, what a pity! Listening to the conversations of the people below, Chu Bei's expression changed and then a playful expression appeared on his face. I didn't think that the one destined for the world would come knocking on my door on the first day of the system activation. Interesting. Chu Bei immediately landed and squeezed into the innermost circle of the crowd, seeing Xiaoyan and Xiao Ning's group up close. Xiaoyan, the one destined for the world. At 4 years old, he started training Qi. At 9 Duan Qi, at 11 he broke through to Doja. He could be said to be a genius with limitless potential. What was regrettable was that in the same year, this genius met with an unforeseen event and his cultivation dropped greatly. In a mere 4 years, his cultivation dropped to 3 Duan Qi and he became known as a good-for-nothing in Wutan City. Xiaoyan, you've got guts! Without Suner by your side, You actually dared to leave the Xiao family. Xiao Ning looked at Xiao Yan with disdain and let out a cold laugh. Get out of the way, don't block the way. Xiao Yan coldly stared at Xiao Ning with an expressionless face. Humph! Stinking brat, what kind of tone is that? Do you still think you're that genius? Now you're just a good-for-nothing. I really don't understand why Suna would still like a good-for-nothing like you. Xiao Ning coldly snorted, his face gloomy. Hearing this, Xiao Yan clenched his fists, his eyes burning with anger. What? Looking at your expression, could it be that you want to attack me? Xiao Ning mocked, not putting Xiao Yan in his eyes. Saying this, Xiao Ning dived down and in an instant appeared in front of Xiao Yan and punched out. Xiao Yan was on guard and immediately raised his fist to block. Pun! Accompanied by a low, deep muffled sound, Xiao Yan flew backwards and violently smashed onto the green stone bricks, raising a cloud of dust. Yo, how could our Xiao family's genius fall so easily? You've really disgraced our Xiao family. Xiao Ning clapped his hands and suddenly lowered his voice. Don't think that was Sinner's protection. I won't dare to do anything to you. Next time I see you, I'll beat you down. Let's go! After a burst of ridicule, Xiao Ning waved his robe and left. Ai, what a pity! The Xiao family's genius is gone forever. The show is over, let's disperse. The onlookers sighed and left one after another. Looking at the back of Xiao Ning's group leaving, Xiao Yan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his face full of anger. If it wasn't for the incident 4 years ago, how could a mere Xiao Ning dare to treat him like this? Little brat, are you feeling unreconciled? But helpless? Chu Bei walked to Xiao Yan's side, his voice carrying a smile. Xiao Yan didn't even look at Chu Bei. He brushed the dust off his body and coldly snorted. You want strength? I can give it to you, Chu Bei said again. Xiao Yan raised his head and stared straight at Chu Bei, but still remained silent. Chapter 3. The Do-Chi continent respects the strong. According to the cultivation levels, they are divided into Do-Chi, Do-Zhe, Do-Shi, Do-Shi, Do-Ling, Do-Wang, Do-Huan, Do-Zong, Do-Zun, Do-Xing, and the legendary Do-Di. Each level is further divided into 9 stars. On the street, Chu Bei calmly looked at Xiao Yan. Here, without strength, you are nothing. But now, as long as you have money, I can give you strength. Why should I believe you? Xiao Yan finally spoke. Chu Bei smiled knowingly and raised his head 45 degrees to look into the distance. Alone in a foreign land, I miss my family even more during the festive season. Knowing that my brother has climbed to a high place, there is only one person left. Listening to the familiar poem, Xiao Yan was stunned at first, then his eyes suddenly widened. Damn! You are also from Earth! Chu Bei shook his head. I am a celestial merchant, traveling to all the major dimensions. Earth I have only stopped by once, but I know that you are from there. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, his eyes shining. If that is the case, can I understand you as a transmigrator from the After Sales Association? Are you here to give me a cheat? Chu Bei raised his finger and waved it. I am a merchant, not against you, not against transmigrators, but against every rich person. You can call me Boss Chu. Do you believe me now? Chu Bei's lips curled up. Yes, of course I believe you. Xiao Yan nodded heavily without hesitation. He hurriedly took out 20 gold coins and looked at Chu Bei with incomparable sincerity. Boss Chu, is this enough? Looking at the pile of shiny gold coins in Xiao Yan's hand, Chu Bei did not speak, but the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Even if it was a level 1 lucky wheel, it would still cost 1,000 gold coins to spin it once. Boss Chu, is this not enough? Noticing Chu Bei's expression, Xiao Yan carefully probed. If it's not enough, I have more in my residence. Let's go directly to the Xiao mansion. Chu Bei waved his hand at Xiao Yan, indicating for him to take back the 20 gold coins. Xiao Yan was a little embarrassed. Then, as if he had thought of something, he asked as he walked. Boss Chu, then do you know why my cultivation base has declined since 3 years ago? Chu Bei didn't say anything. He just stretched out his hand and pointed at the simple black ring on Xiao Yan's right index finger. Is it all because of this? Xiao Yan immediately took off the black ring, which was left to him by his mother. As expected, the moment Xiao Yan took off the ring, the dou qi that was like stagnant water in his body became active. Damn it! So it really is you! Because of you, I became known as trash in Wu-Tan City and was ridiculed by everyone. After confirming that the main culprit of the 3 years of humiliation was the ring he always wore, Xiao Yan gnashed his teeth and fiercely pinched the ring. But no matter how hard he tried, the black ring didn't change shape. Seeing that Xiao Yan was about to throw away the black ring, Chu Bei opened his mouth and said, "Don't be in a hurry to throw it away, it can also be considered an opportunity for you." Xiao Yan looked at Chu Bei in confusion. "You will know in the future." Chu Bei pretended to be mysterious. Since Xiao Lao didn't plan to show himself, then he wasn't in a hurry to expose him. 15 minutes later. "Xiao Yan Gage, where did you go?" "There are guests in the residence. Sun was just about to go find you." Chu Bei and Xiao Yan had just arrived at the Xiao mansion when Xiao Suner ran out from the door. "What guests?" Xiao Yan was curious. "I don't know, but the lineup is not small." Xiao Suner shook her head and focused her gaze on Chu Bei. After sizing him up, her delicate face showed some confusion. "Xiao Yan Gage, he is? A noble person of mine. I'll tell you slowly when I have time. Let's go take a look at the guests you spoke of and see who they are." For a moment, Xiao Yan didn't know how to explain Chu Bei's background, so he simply skipped over it. Soon, Chu Bei, Xiao Yan, and Xiao Suner arrived at the Xiao family's main hall. At this moment, the hall was filled with people. The 4 people at the top were the family head, Xiao Zhan, and the 3 elders. To their left sat some of the elders who had the right to speak and were not weak, as well as some of the younger generation who had performed outstandingly. On the other side, there was a group of unfamiliar faces. They were the guests Xiao Suner spoke of. Among these guests, the leader was an old man in a moon-white robe. There was a silver crescent moon painted on his chest, surrounded by 7 golden stars. This was the symbol of a 7-star Dedosher. Beside the old man was a beautiful young girl. Although there was no crescent silver on her chest, there were 3 golden stars. This was the symbol of a 3-star doge. Because there were many people in the hall, Xiao Yan gave Xiao Zhan a look and then pulled Xiao Suner and Chu Bei to find a seat nearby. "The so-called guests are indeed here to cancel the engagement." Chu Bei's gaze swept across the moon-robed old man and the young girl beside him with a playful expression. "Boss Chu, what are you muttering about?" Xiao Yan tilted his head and looked at Chu Bei. Chu Bei shook his head and smiled without saying anything. "Xiao Yan Gage, did you notice the pattern on their sleeves?" Xiao Suner pointed at the white-robed old man. "Cloud silver sword! They are from the Yunlan sect?" Xiao Yan was flabbergasted. The Xiao family's Wu-Tan city belonged to the Kama Empire. Although it was one of the largest cities in the empire due to the Magic Beast mountain range behind it, it was ranked last. If the Xiao family was said to be the overlord of Wu-Tan city, then the Yunlan sect was the overlord of the entire Kama Empire. The difference between the two was like a chasm. Xiao Yan never thought that there would be a day when the Yunlan sect would step into the Xiao family. "Why are they here?" Xiao Yan was puzzled. At this moment, the white-robed old man stood up from his seat and said, "Xiao family head, I have come to ask for a favor. Mr. Guyi, if you have something to say, just say it. If it is within my power, my Xiao family will definitely help." Xiao Zhan was very polite and didn't show the slightest bit of disrespect. "Xiao family head, do you still remember the name Nailin Yanran?" Guyi pointed at the young girl beside him and smiled at Xiao Zhan. Hearing this name, Xiao Zhan's expression changed. He suddenly stood up from his chair and looked at the young girl again. After being stunned for a while, he opened his mouth and said, She is Nailin Yanran. Grandfather Nailin's granddaughter? Uncle Xiao, niece hasn't come to see you all these years. I hope you don't blame me." Nailin Yanran stood up and cupped her hands towards Xiao Zhan. Niece, what are you saying? Back then, the two elders were engaged. In the future, we will be a family sooner or later. Xiao Zhan's face was full of joy. Xiao family head, I'm afraid you don't know, but Yanran has already been accepted as a direct disciple by our sect head. She is the best candidate for the next Yunlan sect head. Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Guyi slightly frowned. What? She is Nailin Yanran. And she is the Yunlan sect's young sect head. It is said that before she and Xiao Yan were born, the two elders had already engaged them. How can that trash be worthy of such a proud daughter? Almost at the same time, the other Xiao family members in the hall began to discuss. Chapter 4. Xiao Yan Gij, your little wife is here to look for you. Xiao Suner glared at Xiao Yan, her words filled with jealousy. Xiao Yan coughed lightly and avoided Xiao Suner's gaze. His expression was slightly awkward. As for Chu Bei, he had his hands crossed in front of his chest from beginning to end, as if he was waiting to watch a show. Xiao family head, my request is related to Yanran. Guyi glanced at Nailin Yanran beside him, then his gaze returned to Xiao Zhan. The Yunlan sect is strict, and the sect leader has already begun to groom Yanran as the next sect leader of the Yunlan sect. According to the sect rules, before the successor of the sect leader becomes the official sect leader, she cannot have any entanglement with any man. Mr. Gu, what are you trying to say? Xiao Zhan seemed to have thought of a possibility. The smile on his face disappeared, and his expression became gloomy. Xiao family head, since you asked, I won't beat around the bush. We came here today to cancel the engagement between Yanran and Xiao Yan. Guyi calmly looked at Xiao Zhan. Whoosh! What? They're here to cancel the engagement. What's the fuss about? Isn't this reasonable? That's true. Not to mention that Xiao Yan is trash now. Even if he was a genius in the past, Nailin Yanran would never fall for him. After all, she is the future sect leader of the Yunlan sect. A toad really can't eat swan meat. The moment Guye's voice fell, the atmosphere in the hall instantly became strange. Xiao family members of the older generation had angry expressions on their faces, while the younger generation looked at Xiao Yan with mockery and ridicule. When Chu Bei by the side noticed Xiao Yan's incomparably ugly expression, he extended his hand and patted the latter's shoulder, indicating that he should not mind it. Brother Xiao Yan, she's not good enough for you. Xiao Suner opened her mouth and looked at Nailin Yanran with an imperceptible golden flame in her eyes. Bang! Xiao Zhan fiercely slammed his palm down, and with a muffled sound, the table turned into dust. Within the main hall, the originally clamorous noise suddenly fell into silence because of this sudden sound. Xiao family head, I also know that this request is somewhat difficult, but this is not only my idea, but also Lord Sect Master's idea. I am just passing on his behalf. Facing the furious Xiao Zhan, Guye's expression didn't change at all. At the same time, he deliberately emphasized the word Sect Master. Mad Lion's Rage! Xiao Zhan clenched his fist. As he roared, a pale green dough-chi covered his body and an illusory lion's head appeared on his face. Xiao family head, could it be that you want to make a move? Guye's eyes narrowed. Accompanied by a cold snort, his eagle claw-like hands suddenly bent. Green dough-chi gathered in the center of his palms and emitted a small but sharp sword-chi. Xiao Zhan, what are you trying to do? Don't forget, you are the head of the Xiao family. He is now representing the Yunlan sect. Could it be that you want to consign our Xiao family to eternal damnation? The three elders beside Xiao Zhan quickly opened their mouths and shouted, their voices like thunder. Xiao Zhan seemed to have thought of his own identity. His body suddenly stiffened, and the dough-chi that was rampaging around his body slowly retracted until it completely disappeared. Then, Xiao Zhan looked in the direction of Xiao Yan, took a deep breath, and sat back down on his chair. He looked at Nailin Yanran and said indifferently, You are the future sect master of the Yunlan sect. In the future, you will definitely be an influential person in the Kama Empire. My Yanner is just a mediocre person now, and is indeed not worthy of you. Let's leave it at that. Thank you, Uncle Xiao, for your understanding. Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Nalan Yanran's face lit up with joy. She immediately took out a green jade box from her bosom and said, Uncle Xiao, take this as my apology. The moment the box was opened, a strange fragrance filled the entire hall. Smelling it made one feel refreshed. She gathering powder. Seeing the green pill in the box, the younger generation of the Xiao family members in the hall exclaimed in shock. Their eyes lit up. In the path of cultivation, from 9 Duan Qi to Doja, one must first condense a Do Qi whirlpool in the body. However, there is a high chance of failure in condensing a Do Qi whirlpool. If one fails, their 9 Duan Qi will drop to 8 Duan Qi. The effect of the Qi gathering powder is to allow a 9 Duan Qi whirlpool to be condensed with a 100% success rate. This is also the reason why the younger generation of the Xiao family members in the hall were drooling over it. Miss Nalan, please take back this Qi gathering powder. I won't agree to your request. Suddenly, Xiao Yan's voice rang out in the hall. Almost at the same time, everyone in the hall focused their attention on Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan, can't you see what kind of situation this is? You have no right to speak. Go back to your seat. Your father and I will make the decision. The three elders' faces darkened as they angrily shouted. This is my marriage, why do I need you to make the decision? I didn't interfere with your marriage back then. Xiao Yan wasn't afraid of the three elders at all. How dare you? What are you talking about? Do you still have any respect for us? The three elders stood up at the same time. Their eyebrows were filled with anger as they slowly gathered their Do Qi. Xiao Yan Gij is right. He is the one involved in the annulment of the marriage. It should be you guys who shouldn't get involved. Xiao Suna left her seat and came to Xiao Yan's side. The three elders seemed to be very afraid of Xiao Suna. Seeing her help Xiao Yan, they didn't say anything else and chose to remain silent. Xiao Yan looked at Xiao Suna and then looked at Nalan Yanran. Miss Nalan, did Grandfather Nalan agree to your annulment of the marriage? Grandfather didn't agree, but this is my problem and has nothing to do with him. Nalan Yanran's voice was calm. Since Grandfather Nalan doesn't want to be a person who goes back on his words, then my Xiao family can't do it either. You came to force the annulment of the marriage. If my Xiao family agreed, how would Wutan City view our Xiao family in the future? As the head of the clan, where would my father put his face? Xiao Yan waved his hand. So, you guys should go back to where you came from. Do you think the compensation is too little? I can give you 3 Qi-gathering elixirs. At the same time, I can let you enter the Yunlan sect to study. Nalan Yanran looked straight at Xiao Yan, the corners of her mouth slightly raised. In her opinion, Xiao Yan couldn't refuse such a temptation. Hearing Nalan Yanran's offer, the younger generation in the hall couldn't help but swallow their saliva, their faces full of envy and jealousy. Entering the Yunlan sect to study was the dream of countless youths. A mere Yunlan sect isn't enough for me. Xiao Yan laughed coldly. Don't waste your time. None of your conditions can tempt me. With that, Xiao Yan looked at Chu Bei. The truth was as such. His golden finger had already arrived, and he would soon be on the path to success. How could he possibly be interested in the Yunlan sect? Since you claim that you are worried about Uncle Zhao's face, then do you dare to make an agreement with me? Nalan Yanran suppressed the anger in her heart. Speak. Xiao Yan frowned. I can delay the annulment of the marriage for 3 years. After 3 years, you can come to the Yunlan sect and challenge me. If you lose, I will annul the marriage in front of everyone. By then, you will have already gone through the clan's rite of passage. The one who will lose face will be you, and it will have nothing to do with Uncle. Do you dare to accept this agreement? Nalan Yanran said lightly. Xiao Yan was silent, as if deep in thought. After a while, under the gaze of everyone in the hall, Xiao Yan walked towards Chu Bei. Chapter 5. Boss Chu, how fast can I defeat Nalan Yanran? Xiao Yan leaned close to Chu Bei and asked in a low voice. Chu Bei smiled knowingly. As long as you have enough money, the time it takes to brew a cup of tea is enough. Hearing Chu Bei's answer, Xiao Yan nodded and then turned his gaze back to Nalin Yanran. I accept your promise, but it's not 3 years, it's 45 minutes. Just as Xiao Yan's calm voice sounded, the originally quiet hall once again turned into an uproar. Is Xiao Yan crazy? Miss Nalin already gave him a lot of face and was willing to delay the engagement for 3 years. How can he be so unreliable? Even if he was a genius in the past, he wouldn't be Miss Nalin's opponent, let alone a piece of trash with 3 Duan Qi. That's right. Miss Nalin is already a 3-star doge and also learned the Yunlan sex do techniques. Even 100 Xiao Yans wouldn't be a threat. He's a disgrace to our Xiao family. In the hall, the younger generation of the Xiao family looked at Xiao Yan with disdain and ridicule. As for the elders of the Xiao family, their faces were filled with anger. Nonsense! Xiao Yan, you want to defeat Nalin Yanran in 45 minutes? Do you think the path of cultivation is like eating and drinking? Why aren't you leaving? The 3 elders of the Xiao family scolded again with gloomy faces. Xiao Yan Gij, what are you saying? Even though Sonaire has a pill that can raise one's strength to doge for a short period of time, it can only be used by someone with 9 Duan Qi. With your current condition, if you eat that pill, your body will explode. Don't do anything stupid. Xiao Suner tugged at Xiao Yan's arm, her delicate and flawless face filled with worry. Looking at Nalin Yanran, Guyi, and the other members of the Yunlan sect, other than contempt, each of them had a look of surprise on their faces. Clearly, they did not expect Xiao Yan to say such words. Yan what are you thinking? Xiao Zhan, who was sitting in the main seat, looked at Xiao Yan in confusion. Based on his understanding of Xiao Yan, the latter would not say such words in such an occasion. Miss Nalin, I will head to the battle arena in 45 minutes. If you feel that the time is not a problem, you can go to the arena and rest first. After saying that, Xiao Yan shifted his gaze to Xiao Zhan. Father, please follow me. Xiao Yan Gij, what are you trying to do? Xiao Suner frowned and quickly followed Xiao Yan. Suner, you go to the arena first and wait for me there. Xiao Yan stroked Xiao Suner's hair, his eyes filled with love. Yan what is it that you can't talk about in front of everyone? After following Xiao Yan to a private room, Xiao Zhan asked the question that was bothering him. At the same time, his eyes were filled with curiosity towards Chu Bei. Father, how much money do you have in your storage ring? Xiao Yan pointed at the storage ring on Xiao Zhan's finger and asked. Faced with Xiao Yan's sudden question, Xiao Zhan was stunned. After regaining his composure, he immediately replied, 500,000. Why are you suddenly concerned about this? Xiao Zhan became more and more confused. His 3 sons had a common trait, which was that they never asked about the family's finances. Boss Chu, is it okay now? Xiao Yan looked at Chu Bei. Chu Bei nodded slightly and waved his right hand. The void trembled, and a ripple appeared. A golden disc with a diameter of 1 meter emerged from the ripples, exuding a dazzling light. When the light dissipated, it could be clearly seen that the disc was divided into 10 areas. Each area flashed with a square box of a different color. In addition, there was a silver pointer hanging from the disc. At the top of the pointer, there were 7 large words engraved. Level 1 Wheel of Fortune. This. Looking at the wheel that appeared out of thin air and suspended in the air, Xiao Zhan's pupils suddenly shrank. At the same time, he was shocked. At the same time, he looked at Chu Bei again. This is the Wheel of Fortune that I chose for you to increase your strength. As for what you get, it all depends on your luck. Chu Bei looked at Xiao Yan expressionlessly. The price of this wheel is fair. 1,000 gold coins per spin. Hearing the price, Xiao Yan immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. His monthly allowance was only 20 gold coins, but the price of this wheel was as high as 1,000 gold coins per spin. It was equivalent to 4 years of his allowance. No wonder when he asked Xiao Zhan on the street, Xiao Zhan had an indescribable expression. Boss Chu, can you give me a discount? If it's useful, I'll definitely be a regular customer in the future. Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows at Chu Bei and chuckled. This is a small business, no discounts. Chu Bei's response left no room for negotiation. Father, give me the money. Xiao Yan turned to look at Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan was stunned at first, but after he reacted, he hurriedly took out the money. Just as Xiao Zhan took out 1,000 gold coins from his storage ring, the golden wheel vibrated again. In the next moment, a whirlpool appeared in the center of the wheel and swallowed the 1,000 gold coins in an instant. The system has gained 10 willpower. The host has gained 5 willpower. Almost at the same time, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. At this moment, under the shocked gazes of Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan, the silver needle on the wheel spun wildly. Ding! After about 10 seconds, the silver needle stopped at one of the 10 areas on the wheel. Immediately after, the square box in the area stopped by the needle flew out. At the same time, another square box appeared and replaced the one that flew out. Boom! With a loud sound, the square box exploded. Thank you for your patronage. 4 bright words appeared in the area where the square box exploded. After a short pause, they turned into a rain of light and dissipated. Boss Chu, what's the meaning of this? 1,000 gold coins went down the drain? Xiao Yan stared blankly at Chu Bei. If he didn't know that he was from Earth, he would have thought that he was a cheat. Xiao Yan, my friend, there are gains and losses. Don't worry. Chu Bei patted Xiao Yan's shoulder. Time is limited. Why don't you turn 5 at once? I'm sure there will be some that can increase your strength. Okay. Xiao Yan nodded and looked at Xiao Zhan. Father, continue giving me the money. Just like before, Xiao Zhan took out 5,000 gold coins and they were swallowed by the whirlpool in the center of the wheel. The system has gained 50 willpower. The host has gained 25 willpower. Ding! 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 The silver needle spun 5 times and 5 square boxes flew out one after another. Boom! Under the expectant gazes of Xiao Yan and Xiao Zhan, the 5 square boxes exploded at the same time. Thank you for your patronage, 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 thank you for your patronage. Looking at the same words floating side by side, Chu Bei couldn't help but cough awkwardly. This was especially the case when he met Xiao Yan's questioning gaze. He subconsciously rubbed his nose. Chapter 6. Boss Chu, what's going on? Xiao Yan took a deep breath and tried his best to remain calm as he looked at Chu Bei. Can you give me an explanation? Little friend Xiao Yan, what's the saying again? The more precious something is, the harder it is to obtain. Chu Bei took a step forward and patted Xiao Yan's shoulder. Trust me, once you open it, it will definitely be worth it. Okay. Then I'll open it in groups of 10. After saying that, Xiao Yan looked at Xiao Zhan again. Xiao Zhan obviously understood Xiao Yan's meaning and nodded his head, taking out 10,000 gold coins from his storage ring. The system has received 100 willpower, and the host has received 50 willpower. Just as the 10,000 gold coins were swallowed up by the whirlpool in the center of the disc, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Looking at the silver needle that was already spinning, Chu Bei felt an inexplicable sense of apprehension. He really didn't expect that the chances of getting a treasure would be so low. If this set of 10 boxes still didn't yield anything, then he really wouldn't have the face to face Xiao Yan. With a series of clinking sounds, 10 square boxes flew out and floated side by side in the air before exploding. The first 5 boxes, thank you for your patronage. The 6th box contained a gray sphere the size of an egg. The 7th to 9th boxes, thank you for your patronage. The 10th box contained a white pill the size of a longan that exuded a medicinal fragrance. We got something! Looking at the gray sphere and the white pill, Xiao Yan's expression turned for the better. This is the magic core of a first-rank wood-type magical beast? Xiao Zhan took the floating gray sphere and examined it. On the Dochi continent, other than humans, there were also various types of magical beasts. The so-called magic core referred to a type of energy crystal within a magical beast's body. Although it couldn't be directly absorbed by humans, in the hands of an alchemist, it could be combined with other medicinal herbs to create different types of medicinal pills. Moreover, the magic core could also be added to the weapon, making it even more destructive than before. Especially the magic cores of high-level magical beasts, they were highly sought after by powerful alchemists and alchemists. It's only a first-rank magic core? And a wood-type one? Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Xiao Yan's eyebrows immediately furrowed. Although magic cores were valuable, there were different grades. A first-rank magic core, and the cheapest wood-type at that, would sell for around 800 gold coins in the market. In other words, although this box didn't give a "thank you for your patronage," its value wasn't even worth the cost. Meeting Xiao Yan's questioning gaze, Chu Bei smiled knowingly. He pointed to the white pill that had been opened from the other box and said, "Why don't the two of you take a look at it? This is..." Hearing this, Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan's eyes simultaneously focused on the white pill, their eyes filled with confusion. This is a Douqi pill. Under the Doja level, no matter if you have 8 Duan Qi or no Douqi, as long as you swallow this pill, you will immediately raise your Douqi by 1 Duan Qi without any side effects. Chu Bei's mouth curved up. There's actually such a pill? How come I've never heard of it before? Xiao Zhan frowned. He knew of all the pills that could help in the Douqi stage, but he had never heard of such a pill. Even if there were pills with similar effects, it would take at least 2 to 3 months to refine in order to raise Douqi by 1 Duan Qi. In my place, not only do I have Douqi pills, I also have Doja pills, Doushi pills, Doshi pills, Douling pills, and even Dou-Di pills. It's just that they aren't in the level 1 Wheel of Fortune. Chu Bei continued. Boss Chu, according to what you said, if I swallow this Douqi pill, I will immediately have 4 Duan Qi? Xiao Yan swallowed his saliva and looked at Chu Bei expectantly. It's right in front of you. Swallow it, and you'll know. Chu Bei said calmly. Okay. Xiao Yan didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately grabbed the Douqi pill and threw it into his mouth. In a split second, Xiao Yan's face flushed red and emitted a warm glow. It really works. Feeling the Douqi in his body quickly filling up, Xiao Yan's face was filled with joy. At the same time, he concentrated his Douqi as if he was breaking in the Douqi that suddenly appeared in his body. 4 Duan Qi, success. After a few seconds, Xiao Yan's Douqi stabilized, and he excitedly clenched his fists. Looking at Chu Bei, his eyes were filled with gratitude. The ridicule and humiliation he had suffered in the past 3 years had made him deeply realize how important strength was on this continent. Even just a minute ago, his heart was still uneasy. It wasn't that he doubted Chu Bei, but he was really afraid of failure. He was afraid that everything was fake. But when he swallowed the Douqi pill and his Douqi rose from 3 Duan Qi to 4 Duan Qi, the uneasiness in his heart finally disappeared. The golden finger really came. Talking about the price, the level 2 foundation elixir could raise a person's Douqi from 3 Duan Qi to 5 Duan Qi within 3 months. In the market, it was sold for 30,000 gold coins. As for the Douqi pill, other than being useful for low Duan Qi, it was also useful for high Duan Qi, and there was no time limit. If it was sold in the market, this Douqi pill would be worth at least 30,000 gold coins or even more. In other words, even if he did not include the rank 1 wood-type monster core, just this Douqi Dan alone, compared to the 16,000 gold coins that he had spent so far, was still a huge profit. Yan are you feeling any discomfort? Xiao Zhan felt the change in Xiao Yan's Douqi, and at the same time, his eyes were filled with worry. Father, don't worry, I'm fine. If Boss Chu said there are no side effects, then there really aren't. He is my benefactor. Xiao Yan replied to Xiao Zhan. There really is such a pill in this world. Xiao Zhan let out a long sigh. Compared to Doja, Douqi was the foundation and was much harder to cultivate. There were quite a few people who spent 10 or even 20 years on a Duan Qi beginner. But just a moment ago, he witnessed with his own eyes a kind of medicinal pill called Battle Chi Dan break this cultivation shackle. Father, continue to pay! Xiao Yan's voice sounded again. Hearing this, Xiao Zhan recovered from his shock and directly took out 50,000 gold coins and bought 5 stacks in a row. The system has gained 500 willpower, and the host has gained 250 willpower. There was a total of 50 square boxes. In addition to the "Thank you for your patronage," there were also some body-tempering herbs and 3 dou qi pills. Xiao Yan swallowed 3 dou qi pills and his dou qi reached 7 duan qi. Right now, Xiao Yan's goal was very clear: dou qi pills. 30,000 gold coins, he bought 3 stacks. The system has gained 300 willpower, and the host has gained 150 willpower. 30 square boxes, there were 2 dou qi pills. Xiao Yan swallowed them and his dou qi reached 9 duan qi. Chapter 7. Little friend Xiao Yan, your cultivation has already reached 9 stage dou qi. Dou qi pills are no longer of any use to you. Just as Xiao Yan was about to continue spending money, Chu Bei reminded him. Boss Chu, then how can I break through to doja? Xiao Yan asked. Revolving core, it can help you condense your dou qi and become a doja. Speaking up to here, Chu Bei's tone suddenly changed. But the level 1 Wheel of Fortune will not give you a revolving core. Then how much does the level 2 Wheel of Fortune cost? Xiao Yan asked tentatively. Chu Bei smiled and waved his hand. The level 1 wheel in front of him disappeared and was replaced by a wheel with the words, Level 2 Wheel of Fortune, engraved on it. 10,000 gold coins going once, Chu Bei said lightly. See, hearing this price, Xiao Yan sucked in a breath of cold air. That is to say, to open a set, it would cost him 100,000 gold coins. Yen air, as long as it can increase your strength, money is not a problem. Just as Xiao Yan was hesitating, Xiao Zhan opened his mouth and took out 300,000 gold coins from his storage ring. The system has received 3,000 willpower. The host has received 1,500 willpower. As the whirlpool in the center of the wheel swallowed the 300,000 gold coins, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. At the same time, the needle began to move. After 30 times, 30 square boxes floated in the room in an orderly manner. Compared to the level 1 Wheel of Fortune, the level 2 Wheel of Fortune was clearly more exquisite. Bang! A dazzling light bloomed, and the 30 square boxes exploded at the same time. There were 21 thank you for your patronage, for level 2 monster cores, 2 herbs, a purple pill, a blue pill, and a scroll that emitted a fluorescent light. Boss Chu, is there a revolving core in these 3 pills? Xiao Yan immediately asked, his eyes filled with anticipation and some apprehension. Chu Bei smiled, his eyes swept over the 3 pills and said, The purple one is a revolving core, you already know its effects. The cyan color was the doja pill. Its effect was similar to the douqi pill, but the target was changed to a doja. Consuming one can increase your cultivation by 1 star. Great! Xiao Yan cheered with incomparable excitement. He carefully took the revolving condensation pill and swallowed it. Once the revolving coagulation pill entered his mouth, a faint icy cold feeling spread through Xiao Yan's mouth. Following that, the warm and pure energy entered his body through his mouth, rushing through his limbs and bones. Almost at the same time, the calm air in the room suddenly rippled. Traces of pale white douqi seeped out of the air and into Xiao Yan's body. Unlike other people who had painful expressions when condensing cyclones, Xiao Yan's expression did not change at all. Instead, it gave people a feeling of enjoyment. Very quickly, the surging douqi in Xiao Yan's body seemed to have received an order at the same time and began to rapidly shrink towards his lower abdomen. Bang! A muffled sound came from Xiao Yan's body. The douqi vortex had been successfully formed. Haha, success! The familiar strength from 4 years ago has returned. Feeling the abundant douqi in his body that he had not felt for 4 years, Xiao Yan laughed out loud, his chest violently rising and falling. Yan air, you became a doge again. Xiao Zhan's hands trembled as he held on to Xiao Yan's arms. Unknowingly, his eyes had become red and moist. Xiao Yan was his greatest pride. At 4 years old, he started Do Qi. At 9 years old, he became a doja. At 11, he became a doja. However, 3 years ago, Xiao Yan suddenly encountered an unforeseen event, causing his cultivation to plummet. In a mere 4 years, his cultivation fell to 3 duanqi and he became known as the trash of Wutan City. As a father, for the past 4 years, Xiao Zhan had to withstand the pressure from the clan and constantly search for doja for Xiao Yan. But it was all to no avail. No matter what, he did not dare to imagine that today, Xiao Yan's cultivation had returned to doja. Boss Chu, you are not only Yan Heir's benefactor, but also my, Xiao Zhan's, and even the entire Xiao family's benefactor. Xiao Zhan's voice was filled with emotion. As he spoke, he was about to kneel down in front of Chu Bei. Chu Bei quickly helped Xiao Zhan up. Xiao family head, you don't have to thank me. I'm just a merchant. You pay the money and I pay the goods. This is a fair trade, nothing more. Boss Chu, since you said so, then I won't be sentimental. Xiao Yan opened his mouth and threw another doja dan into his mouth. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Yan broke through to 2 stars doja. Yan Heir, you are only 1 star away from catching up to Nalan Yanran. Xiao Zhan clenched his fists and looked at Chu Bei. He took out another 100,000 gold coins from his storage ring. Boss Chu, with the money I have left, I can buy another set. Based on the host's cultivation, the host has reached the upper limit of gold coins sold today. But at this moment, an incongruous system sound rang out in Chu Bei's mind. What the F***CK? There's still an upper limit! Hearing the system's voice, Chu Bei was stunned and couldn't help but curse. His plan to become a doja in 7 days was ruined. Boss Chu, why isn't it spinning? Xiao Zhan pointed at the spinning wheel with a puzzled expression. Today's trade is over, come back tomorrow. Chu Bei coughed and waved his hand to put away the spinning wheel. Boss Chu, Yan Heir is only 1 star away from catching up to Nalan Yanran. If you don't give us another doja dan, we will still lose the next round. Xiao Zhan's words were filled with pleading. Xiao Yan was silent. Like Xiao Zhan, his eyes were also filled with pleading. He didn't want to fail so badly. If it's just to beat Nalan Yanran, you don't have to worry, because I have this. Chu Bei's gaze swept across Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan before finally pointing at the floating scroll that was emitting a fluorescent light. Extreme Blade Storm? Xiao Yan casually read the 3 most eye-catching words on the scroll. Unlike the doja dan here, it has no rank. If you use it as a doja, it's equivalent to a high mystic doja dan. In terms of killing power, it's even comparable to a low-earth doja dan. Chu Bei replied. Extreme Blade Storm originated from the 2nd skill of the hero armor in the game King of Glory. It can be used twice in an instant, and the 2nd slash will send the enemy flying for 0.5 seconds. At the same time, the next attack will become a slash, greatly increasing the killing power. A doja dan that grows stronger with the increase in cultivation. Xiao Yan's throat wriggled. He was so excited that words couldn't describe it. Just as he carefully tried to take the scroll, the moment his palm touched it, the scroll turned into a rain of light and flew directly into his forehead. Xiao Yan's body suddenly trembled. At this moment, a large amount of information about the extreme blade storm was poured into his mind. Although it was only a few seconds to him, it was as if he had practiced the extreme blade storm for several years. Every detail, every movement, he had already grasped it. Right now, he only lacked a blade, a medium to use the extreme blade storm. Chapter 8. Xiao Family, Battle Arena. The huge circular fighting ring was filled with members of the Xiao clan. All the younger generation members had also rushed over to inquire about the situation. The 3 elders of the Xiao family, Gu Yi, Nalan Yanran, and the other members of the Yunlan sect were sitting on the main seat closest to the battle arena. Look! Clan leader and Xiao Yan are here. Don't tell me that Xiao Yan really wants to have a duel with Nayland Xiaojie? What right does he have? In my opinion, he must have thought it through and decided to postpone the duel to 3 years later. Although he will still lose 3 years later, at least he has delayed it for 3 years, right? The younger generation of the Xiao family noticed Xiao Yan, Xiao Zhan, and Chu Bei walking over from afar. They exclaimed in surprise and ridicule. Xiao Yan, brother! Xiao Suner stood up from her seat and waved at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan ignored the ridicule around him. He nodded at Xiao Suner and stepped onto the battle arena. Xiao Zhan, do you really want Xiao Yan to duel with Nayland Yanran? With Xiao Yan's strength, he can't even withstand one move from Nayland Yanran. If he loses now, he will not only embarrass you, but also the entire Xiao family. While there is still time, let's make Xiao Yan regret. The 3 elders couldn't wait to speak as soon as Xiao Zhan sat on the main seat. Shut up, all of you! Xiao Zhan glanced at the 3 elders and snorted. This is his own business. No matter what decision he makes, as his father, I will support him unconditionally. If Nayland Yanran fails, Xiao Yan will be seriously injured even if he doesn't die. Don't regret it then. The 3 elders looked gloomy. Xiao Zhan no longer responded to the 3 elders. He looked at Xiao Yan, who was already standing on the stage. There wasn't the slightest trace of worry on his face. Miss Nayland, you can go on stage now. Xiao Yan looked at Nayland Yanran and said calmly. Have you really thought it through? Nayland Yanran leaped and landed on the stage. Of course. If you win this battle, I'll agree to you annulling the engagement in front of everyone. Xiao Yan's eyes met Nayland Yanran's calmly. Don't worry, after breaking off the engagement, I will make it up to your Xiao family. Nayland Yanran looked happy and confident. After saying that, Nayland Yanran looked at Xiao Zhan. Uncle Xiao, can you announce the start of the competition? Xiao Zhan looked at Xiao Yan, cleared his throat, and said, Let's begin. Just as Xiao Zhan finished speaking, Nayland Yanran moved. Doqi surrounded her body as she sent a palm strike towards Xiao Yan. A mere 3 Dan Doqi, there's nothing to see. Yeah, Junior Yanran only needs to use 30% of her strength to send that Xiao Yan flying. If it was me, I wouldn't go easy on him. Even if I killed him, a small Xiao family wouldn't dare to cause trouble for our Yunlan sect. In the audience, the people from the Yunlan sect looked at Xiao Yan with disdain. Pun! But in the next moment, the disdain on their faces disappeared along with the sound of the collision. What replaced it was a deep shock. Not only were the people from the Yunlan sect shocked, but the people from the Xiao family were also shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Just a moment ago, just as Nayland Yanran's palm was about to land on Xiao Yan's body, the latter raised his right fist and directly met the attack. The fist and palm collided. The expected scene of Xiao Yan being sent flying didn't happen. Instead, he didn't move an inch. He took it. He's only 3 Duan Doqi. How could he take Junior Yanran's palm strike? The people from the Yunlan sect recovered from their shock and couldn't help but exclaim. No! 2 stars for fighter. At this moment, Gu Yi and the Xiao family's first elder stood up and shouted at the same time. What? 2 stars for fighter. Impossible. Could it be that Xiao Yan's cultivation hasn't declined? Everything is an illusion. He really hit it well. Why is he doing this? But in yesterday's test, the Devil Stone tablet showed that he was only 3 Duan Doqi. Could it be that he still has a way to trick the Devil Stone tablet? Hearing the first elder mention Xiao Yan's cultivation, everyone present was at a loss for words. Then, they looked at each other. Xiao Zhan, did you know Xiao Yan's true cultivation from the start? Why did you create an illusion? You even tricked our own people. Noticing Xiao Zhan's calm expression, the second elder questioned. Xiao Zhan was silent. His gaze had never left Xiao Yan's body since the beginning. Xiao Yan Gij, what did you do in these short 45 minutes? Xiao Suner stared at the figure on the stage and muttered to herself. Humph. So what if he's a 2 stars fighter? He's still 1 star lower than Junior Yanran. Moreover, Junior Yanran's middle mystic Do Chi is the wind-splitting whirlwind dance. That's right, the result will be the same anyway. The people from the Yunlan sect sneered, not at all worried that Nayland Yanran would lose. I didn't think that the rumors were all fake. Your cultivation didn't regress at all. Nayland Yanran retracted her hand and took a few steps back. Since it's like this, then I'll let you see my true strength. Wind-splitting whirlwind dance. With a clear shout, Nayland Yanran's calm demeanor was replaced with a serious expression. The thin sword in her right hand danced, the Do Chi around her body surged and wrapped around the sword. Finally, the tip of the sword flashed with white light, forming several rays of Do Chi. Chi. Nayland Yanran swung her sword. The sword trembled and several rays of Do Chi shot out from the tip of the sword, intertwining in the air with an ear-piercing sound. The target was Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan didn't dodge, there was no fear in his eyes. Chapter 9. Clang! With a crisp sound, the long sword in Nayland Yanran's hand flew out and broke into two pieces. In a split second, Xiaoyan swung his sword for the third time. Compared to the previous two slashes, the power of the third slash was obviously more terrifying. No! No! Looking at the approaching blade, Nayland Yanran's pupils dilated rapidly. Her eyes were filled with fear, and her heart was filled with coldness. She tried to control her body to avoid the slash, but the strange energy confined her, and she lost control of her body. But just as she was about to close her eyes and welcome the arrival of the Grim Reaper, the figure in her line of sight controlled the blade and changed its direction. In the cold light, the blade slid down Nayland Yanran's right arm by 10 centimeters and cut into the fighting ring. Boom! There was a loud sound, and a deep gully appeared where the saber landed. Almost at the same time, the strange energy that was supporting Nayland Yanran disappeared. She regained her freedom and fell from 3 meters in the air. Recalling the third slash from before, and then looking at the deep gully on the table beside her, Nayland Yanran's originally rosy face instantly became incomparably pale, and her footsteps were even more unstable, as if she could fall at any time. Plop! In the end, Nayland Yanran couldn't hold on. Her legs went soft, and she fell to the ground uncontrollably. From the beginning to the end, she wasn't injured, but she was still in shock. Just a moment ago, she had a close call with the Grim Reaper. In the fighting ring, there was no sound of fighting. Only Nayland Yanran's heavy breathing could be heard. Her arms struggled to support herself on the fighting ring, and she stared at Xiaoyan unwillingly and fearfully. She lost! Junior Yanran lost! How did this happen? What happened just now? Junior Yanran's fighting energy stagnated. Fighting technique, it must be that kid's fighting technique. Gradually, everyone began to realize what was going on. The faces of the people from the Yunlan sect who had witnessed the previous scene turned gray, and they were extremely upset. Such an outcome was too sudden and unexpected, and it was difficult for them to accept. Not only them, but the members of the Shao clan also gasped. Their faces were filled with bewilderment, as though they had been struck by lightning. Xiaoyan actually won! What dose skill did he use just now? She's not even from our Shao family! Yeah, I've never seen it in the entire battle skill pavilion. It must be the Patriarch's favoritism, only passing down such a powerful dose skill to Xiaoyan alone. The younger generation of the Shao family obviously didn't expect this result and were shocked. The calmest person present was none other than Chu Bei. Extreme Blade Storm, the second skill of the King's Glory hero armor. This second slash had the effect of sending the target flying for 0.5 seconds, which was the strange power that Nayland Yanran felt from the blade. As for the third slash, the next attack after the 2 slashes became a charging slash, and the power of the slash increased once again. Xiao Zhan, did you pass down that dose skill to Xiaoyan? The 3 elders of the Shao family looked at Xiao Zhan at the same time. Other than curiosity, there was also a kind of desire in their eyes. This is Yan Er's own opportunity, and this dose skill cannot be passed down to outsiders. Speaking up to this point, Xiao Zhan lowered his voice. Don't even think about this though, skill. You've lost. Xiao Yan held the hilt of his blade, and the tip of the blade was pointed at Nailin Yanran, who was paralyzed on the ground. Nailin Yanran was silent, and her body was slightly trembling. She had indeed lost this battle. If it wasn't for her opponent's third slash, it wouldn't have been a deep trench on the stage, but she would have been cut in half. What level of Do skill is this? What was the power that sent me flying and temporarily sealed my Do Qi? Nailin Yanran raised her head and stared at Xiao Yan with her eyes wide open. No comment. Xiao Yan replied with an expressionless face. Yanran, are you okay? At this time, Guyi jumped onto the stage and held Nailin Yanran up with one hand. Olji, I lost. Nailin Yanran bit her lips, and her face was full of unwillingness. Let's go back to the sect first. We'll think about the marriage when we get back. Guyi shook his head and sighed. Wait. Just as Guyi, Nailin Yanran, and the other members of the Yunlan sect were about to leave, Xiao Yan stopped them. If you want to say something sarcastic, I advise you to keep it in your stomach. Guyi turned around and looked coldly at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan ignored Guyi, and his eyes fell on Nailin Yanran. I accepted your promise and defeated you. Do you think I really want to marry you? Xiao Yan sneered, and then took out a pen and paper from his chest. He wrote while saying, If you really think so, then you're wrong. After writing, Xiao Yan bit his thumb and pressed a clear and eye-catching blood mark on the paper. In my eyes, you're not much better than Pan Jilian. From the beginning, I didn't have the slightest interest in you. The reason why I defeated you is to tell you that it's not that I, Xiao Yan, don't deserve you, but that I don't even put you, Nailin Yanran, in my eyes. Xiao Yan threw the paper in his hand to Nailin Yanran. Listen, today it's not you, Nailin Yanran, who came to cancel the marriage. It's me, Xiao Yan, who is going to divorce you. Xiao Yan's powerful voice echoed in the huge arena, and everyone was shocked. Hearing Pan Jilian's name, Nailin Yanran was stunned. But when she took the paper and saw the two eye-catching words at the top, her thin body couldn't help but tremble. This was because she was angry. You dare divorce me! Nailin Yanran's eyes were wide open, and she stared at Xiao Yan in disbelief. She was the granddaughter of the Kama Empire's Marshal Lionheart, Nailin Jia, and the direct disciple of the Kama Empire's #1 sect, the Yunlan sect. With her beauty, talent, and background, there were countless people chasing after her. She never thought that in the end, she would be divorced by a small family. Although this was the result she wanted, it was definitely not in this way. With the divorce, she didn't only lose face for herself, but also for the marshal's mansion behind her, and the Yunlan sect. Xiao Yan, you've gone too far. Guyi angrily shouted, and his eagle claw-like hands suddenly bent. Green Do Qi gathered in his palms, and sharp sword Qi surged. Raging lion's fury. Xiao Zhan appeared in front of Xiao Yan, and with a roar, light green Do Qi covered his body, and an illusory lion's head gathered in front of his face. Guyi, you can leave now. Xiao Zhan glared at Guyi. Let's go. Guyi snorted. Didn't you say that you'd get 3 Qi-gathering elixirs as compensation for breaking off the engagement? Xiao Yan's mocking voice sounded. Hearing that, Nailin Yanran stopped in her tracks, and her veins popped out in anger. In the end, she threw 3 Qi-gathering elixirs to Xiao Yan. Thank you, Miss Nailin. Xiao Yan laughed heartily. If this had been before, with his pride, he would never have accepted these 3 Qi-gathering elixirs. But now, as long as it was something of value, he wanted it. After all, it could be used to exchange for the number of times he could spin the wheel of fortune. Chapter 10. Wutan City, in front of the Xiao family. Chu Bei stopped Guyi, Nailin Yanran and the others. Who are you? How dare you block my way? Guyi stopped and coldly looked at Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored Guyi and looked at Nailin Yanran with a smile. You were defeated in one battle and your wife was divorced. Are you very unwilling? In the main hall, I saw you and Xiao Yan together. Did you follow me to make fun of me? Naylan Yanran frowned and coldly snorted. No, I'm just a businessman. Chu Bei stretched out his index finger and said, With me, as long as you have money, I can help you defeat Xiao Yan tomorrow and wash away today's shame. After that, Chu Bei gestured to Naylan Yanran to ask for money, and the corners of his mouth curled up. If Xiao Yan was here and heard Chu Bei's words, who knows what he would think? No need. If you don't make way, don't blame us for being impolite. Naylan Yanran's face was gloomy. Obviously, she did not take Chu Bei's words seriously. If that's the case, then it's a pity. Chu Bei shrugged and did not say anything more. Xiao family, battle arena. Yan Air, where is Boss Chu? I haven't treated him well yet. Xiao Zhan came to Xiao Yan's side and asked. Xiao Yan looked around and couldn't find Chu Bei's figure. He said, Anyway, I already know where he lives. I'll pay him a visit tomorrow. Xiao Yan Gij, how did you suddenly become a 2-stars fighter? Could it be that you've been pretending for the past 3 years? You even fooled Sun Air. But what's the point of doing this? Xiao Sina quickly ran to Xiao Yan's side. Her eyes were wide open, and there was confusion between her brows. It's hard to explain right now. I'll explain it to you in detail later. Xiao Yan stroked Xiao Sina's hair. So what if you won? You've humiliated Naylan Yanran like this. Not only her, but the Yunlan sect behind her won't let you off either. First Elder said expressionlessly. Xiao Yan didn't even look at the Great Elder. He pulled Xiao Sina's little hand and walked to the side. At this moment, Chu Bei had also returned home. To be exact, Chu Bei hadn't entered the house yet. He was standing in front of the door, looking at the golden plaque above the door. There were 4 words engraved on the signboard, Celestial Shop. Obviously, this plaque was the system's masterpiece. Crack! Chu Bei pushed open the door. Suddenly, his pupils shrunk. In front of him stood a 2-meter-tall humanoid iron lump robot. What the hell is this? Chu Bei blurted out. In the next moment, Chu Bei's system panel in his mind added the iron lump robot's information. Name, Xiao Heiduty, Protector of Celestial Shop Cultivation, unable to measure tap. Just as Chu Bei was about to take a closer look at the iron lump robot's structure, the latter suddenly turned around and walked towards the corner. Then, it stopped moving, like a statue. Chu Bei went forward to check, but couldn't find anything. He simply ignored it and went straight into the house. At this moment, he had a total of 1,980 willpower points. Looking at the countless items on the screen, Chu Bei thought for a while and decided to use all his willpower points to exchange for cultivation. In the Battle Chi stage, every 300 willpower points can be exchanged for 1 Battle Chi. Host successfully exchanged for cultivation, 6th stage Battle Chi, 1,800 willpower points deducted. At the same time the system notification sounded, Chu Bei felt his whole body was wrapped in a warm current. Under this warm current, every cell in his body became active and filled with energy. Is this Do Zili? Feeling the sudden increase in power in his body, Chu Bei murmured and nodded with satisfaction. Although 1,980 willpower points can be exchanged for some items with decent destructive power, but after all, those are external items or can only be used once. Only one's cultivation was permanent. 2 hours later, the entire Wutan city became noisy and lively. Groups of 3 to 5 people gathered together, spittle flying everywhere. As for the topic of discussion, have you heard? Marshal Lionheart's granddaughter Naylan Yanran is engaged to Xiao Yan. Not long ago, they came to cancel the engagement. Of course I know, it's already spread. I heard that Naylan Yanran is the direct disciple of the Yunlan sect leader. There's such a thing? Xiao Yan is just a trash now. Naylan Yanran must have succeeded in canceling the engagement. My God! Did you just go out? This ending has changed from canceling the engagement to Xiao Yan divorcing his wife. Hurry up and say it. Don't keep us in suspense. Whether it was the streets or the major tea houses, Everyone was discussing the matter of Nailin Yanran canceling the engagement. What? Xiao Yan is actually a 2-stars battle chi practitioner. Why would he do that? Even when he was humiliated by Xiao Ning, he didn't retaliate. Who knows what kind of medicine he's selling in his gourd? But if we see him in the future, we can't talk about it. After all, we didn't provoke a battle chi practitioner. Night fell. Xiao Mansion. In an exquisite little house. Miss, do you have any orders for me? A black shadow appeared in the house. Elder Ling, I want you to help me investigate that boss Chu from this morning. Find out what kind of background he has. Xiao Suna looked out the window. Xiao Yan Gij's cultivation rose from 3 Duan Qi to 2 stars battle Qi because of him. As for his residence, it's at the end of an east street. Yes, miss. Linging nodded, opened the door, and flew away with his battle Qi wings. In the night, a black shadow streaked across the sky of Xiao Mansion. Arriving at the end of an east street, Linging released his perception and locked onto Chu Bei's residence after a long time. It's not normal, Linging said. The reason why he was able to lock onto Celestial's shop was because there was an indescribable strange energy fluctuation around the house. This energy fluctuation was very weak. If he wasn't looking for it, he wouldn't have been able to detect it. Looking at the closed door, Linging stepped forward. He prepared to push. However, when Lingying's hand was 10 centimeters away from the door, a light barrier appeared. Linging frowned. Immediately, a majestic battle chi appeared in his palm. Pun! A low muffled sound rang out. The light barrier rippled, but it wasn't damaged at all. Linging, on the other hand, was pushed back several steps by an invisible force. Linging hesitated. After a while, his battle chi wings flapped, and he flew towards Xiao Mansion. Looking back at Chu Bei, he was sleeping soundly and didn't know what was going on. What? Even you can't break through the barrier! Hearing Lingying's words, Xiao Suna was shocked. Elder Ling, what kind of strength do you think is needed to break through the barrier? At least the peak of Battle Huang, Linging replied. Xiao Suna frowned and thought for a while. Elder Ling, he will definitely open the door tomorrow morning. When you go there, don't reveal your identity. It's best if you can test his strength. Okay. Linging nodded, bowed, and left the room. Why did you get close to Xiao Yan Gij? I hope it's not an enemy. Xiao Suna stood in front of the window and muttered to herself. Chapter 11. The red sun rose, its light illuminating the earth. Chu Bei opened the door after waking up. Because the house was at the end of the street, the number of people passing by could be counted on 2 hands. Among them, 3 or 4 people entered the house out of curiosity after seeing the signboard of All Heaven's shop. But when they found that it was an ordinary residence, they left after mocking Chu Bei. Eh? Isn't that the head of the Xiao family and Xiao Yan? Where are they going so early in the morning? Follow them! On the streets of Ani, Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan led a small number of guards toward All Heaven's shop. Gradually, more and more people followed behind them. All Heaven's shop? Is this their destination? Why don't we go in and take a look? Let's see what they're selling. I went in when I passed by earlier. Although it has a signboard, it's just an ordinary residence. Xiao Zhan and the others stopped in front of the house. Little friend Xiao, you've come so early in the morning? You're more proactive than I thought. Hearing the commotion, Chu Bei walked out of the house. After seeing that it was Xiao Yan's group, the corner of Chu Bei's mouth rose. Did you bring enough money? Of course. Xiao Yan replied and walked into the house. Xiao Zhan and Xiao Suna followed closely behind. As for the guards, they stayed outside the house. Little friend Xiao, what kind of roulette do you want to spin today? Chu Bei asked with a smile. Of course it's to improve my strength. Xiao Yan took out 3 jade boxes, each containing a dark green pill. These are the 3 chi-gathering elixirs that Nailin Yanran gave me yesterday. How many times can I spin the 2nd level lucky roulette? As Xiao Yan asked, Xiao Suna looked at Chu Bei seriously, a golden flame flashing in her eyes. Strange! How can this be? Xiao Suna frowned slightly. She attempted to probe the douqi ripples on Chu Bei's body. However, the strange thing was that there was an unknown energy ripple on the other party's body that blocked her probing. 3 Qi gathering elixirs can spin 3 sets of level 2 lucky roulette wheels, Chu Bei answered. This was the system's assessment. Boss Chu, if that's the case, let's begin. Xiao Yan's face was filled with anticipation. Chu Bei nodded and waved his right hand. Buzz, the void trembled, and a ripple appeared. A golden disc with a diameter of 1 meter emerged from the ripples, emitting a dazzling light. Level 2 Wheel of Fortune. These words were especially eye-catching. Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan's expressions didn't change at all as they looked at the floating golden disc. On the other hand, Xiao Suna, who was seeing him for the first time, narrowed her eyes and a hint of astonishment appeared on her delicate face. The system has received 3,000 willpower. The system has returned 1,500 willpower to the host. As the whirlpool in the center of the roulette wheel swallowed the 3 Qi gathering elixirs, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. At the same time, the needle spun. 1 set of 10 times, 3 sets of 30 times. A few seconds later, 30 exquisite square boxes floated in front of Xiao Yan in an orderly manner. Bang! A dazzling light bloomed and the 30 boxes exploded at the same time. 20 of them were thanks for your patronage, 3 level 2 demon cores, 5 herbs, and 2 doja elixirs. I got 2, not bad! Xiao Yan's gaze instantly focused on the 2 green elixirs. To him, the most useful elixirs were the doja elixirs. As for the level 2 demon cores and spirit herbs, they would all be sent to the auction house. Xiao Yan took the 2 doja elixirs and threw them into his mouth without hesitation. Then, he closed his eyes. The douqi fluctuation is getting stronger. The elixir's effect is so fast. Sensing Xiao Yan's energy fluctuation, Xiao Suna's face was filled with disbelief. Boom! At this moment, a thunderous sound rang out from the sky outside the house. Then, the people outside the house who had yet to leave started to clamor. Chu Bei, Xiao Zhan, Xiao Yan, and Xiao Suna came to the door and raised their heads. They saw a masked black figure floating in the sky. Douqi wings! A warrior above the king level! I can't believe I saw such a legendary warrior. I have no regrets in my life. The group of people stared at the masked black figure in the sky. Their faces were filled with excitement. Obviously, this would be something they could brag about in the future. Why would such a powerful warrior appear in our small Wutan city? Xiao Zhan frowned and his face turned ugly. Could it be an elder from the Yunlan sect who came to take revenge? Otherwise, why would he be masked? Xiao Yan clenched his fists. Xiao Yan Gij, Nalan Yanran and her group probably haven't returned to the Yunlan sect yet. Therefore, he can't be someone from the Yunlan sect, Xiao Suna said. Unlike the others, Xiao Suna's expression didn't change when she saw the masked black figure. Xiao! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. The masked black figure dove down. The douqi around him was like a wind blade, cutting through the air. Not good! He's coming towards us! Run! Seeing the black figure descend from the sky, the group of people was stunned at first, then fear appeared on their faces. Amidst the screams, they scattered. They looked back from time to time. Furious lion's rage! Xiao Zhan shouted. A light green douqi covered his entire body, and an illusory lion's head appeared on his face. Xiao Yan's muscles tensed. He gathered all his douqi on his right fist, ready to fight to the death. In their opinion, if a king or emperor wanted their lives, the result would be the same whether they ran or not. The black figure's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he was less than 10 meters away from the ground. Chi chi chi, the black figure folded his douqi wings and clenched his right fist. A purple ball of light formed on the surface of his fist. His target is Boss Chu. Seeing the black figure getting closer and closer, Xiao Yan and Xiao Zhan finally confirmed the black figure's target. F***CK. Why is it me? Chu Bei was dumbfounded. Although he had lived in the Doqi continent for 100 years, because the system was always active, he didn't have anyone to rely on and lived a very low-key life. He didn't even have a single enemy of the Doqi realm, let alone a king Doqi realm. The black figure's punch didn't seem to cause much of a commotion, but the purple ball of light contained a violent energy. Even a Douling's body would explode from the punch, let alone Xiao Zhan. Chu Bei didn't even think and immediately called out the celestial space. However, just as Chu Bei was about to hide in the celestial space to avoid the black figure's punch, a shadow flashed. A black figure flashed across the room. The black figure stopped in front of Chu Bei. It slowly raised its mechanical arm. It faced the black figure's terrifying punch. Crack! There wasn't a huge shockwave from the collision as expected. There was only the crisp sound of bones shattering. At the moment of collision, the purple ball of light on the black figure's fist was annihilated. Then, the black figure's arm shattered inch by inch. Boom! With a scream, the black figure flew out like a cannonball and crashed through a house. Miss Sun Air, your face doesn't look right. As the protagonist who was familiar with the script, Chu Bei quickly thought of a possibility regarding the masked man. No, it's nothing. I was just scared by it. Xiao Sun hurriedly replied, worry flashing through her eyes. Chu Bei smiled but didn't say anything. After probing, he had an answer in his heart. Xiao Zhan hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward. Boss Chu, what is your realm? Just as Xiao Zhan asked this question, Xiao Yan and Xiao Sun both stared at Wu Fang with anticipation. You'll know once you spin more and more. Chu Bei pretended to be mysterious, and then looked at Xiao Yan. Do you want a few more? If you don't have the money, then I'll have to find another buyer. Of course. Xiao Yan couldn't wait to answer. Ever since Xiao Yan had broken through to a 2-star doge the previous day, Xiao Zhan had been counting the clan's assets, and took out 1 million gold coins. Unfortunately, after spinning 7 sets, which was 700,000 gold coins, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. The system has received 7,000 willpower. The system has returned 3,500 willpower to the host. Based on the host's cultivation, the host has reached the upper limit of gold coins sold today. Compared to the previous day's limit of 400,000 gold coins, because Chu Bei's cultivation had reached 6 Duan Qi, the upper limit had increased to 1 million gold coins. 7 sets, 70 boxes. Among them, 45 were thank you for your patronage, 8 were level 2 demon cores, 12 herbs, 4 warrior pills, and 1 revolving condensing pill. Boss Chu, I'll see you tomorrow. If you have time, remember to visit my Xiao family. After swallowing the 4 warrior pills, Xiao Yan's cultivation jumped to 8-star warrior. I won't see you out. Chu Bei waved his hand. After Xiao Yan and the others left, they went straight to Wutan City's biggest auction house, Primer Auction House. As for the people in front of the shop, after hesitating for a long time, they waved goodbye to Chu Bei and left one after another. After the shop was quiet, Chu Bei looked at the 5180 willpower on the screen. After a bit of hesitation, he used all of it to upgrade his cultivation. After deducting 900 willpower, Chu Bei's cultivation rose from 6 Duan Qi to 9 Duan Qi. After deducting another 1000 willpower, Chu Bei condensed a cyclone in his body and stepped into the warrior realm. Unlike the Duan Qi stage, the warrior realm required 1000 willpower to advance by 1 star. Host has successfully upgraded his cultivation. 4-star warrior realm deducting 4900 willpower. So this is inner sight? Interesting. Chu Bei muttered. The difference between warrior realm and Duan Qi is that other than condensing a cyclone, one can also use inner sight. Simply put, it allows one to know their own body's condition more clearly. 3 hours later. Shao Mansion. Why isn't he back yet? Xiao Suner stood alone in front of the window, her hair swaying in the wind. Her face was full of anxiety and worry. Xiao! At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard and a figure rushed into the room. Hearing the sound, Xiao Suner's worry turned into joy. But when she turned around and saw Ling Ying's appearance, her joy disappeared in an instant and turned into guilt and regret. At this moment, Ling Ying's face was extremely pale without a trace of blood. His right arm was nowhere to be seen and was wrapped in thick white gauze. His entire body emitted a rich pill fragrance. Elder Ling, are you okay? It's all my fault. If I didn't let you test him, you wouldn't have become like this. Xiao Suner stepped forward to support Ling Ying, tears in her eyes. Miss, it's not your fault. Who would have thought that he would be so terrifying? Ling Ying's face didn't have the slightest bit of hatred. And I've already taken the energy recovery pill. My life is saved. Elder Ling, can you determine the strength of the thing that injured you? Xiao Suner wiped away her tears and bit her lips. It didn't have any duanqi fluctuation. It was just like an ordinary punch. Ling Ying shook his head. I feel that it hasn't used its full strength yet. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I would have been turned into a pile of minced meat. It hasn't used its full strength yet? Xiao Suner's face changed greatly. Miss, let's not test that person. With his strength, if he really wants to make a move on Xiao Yan, I'm afraid that no one in the entire Kama Empire can stop him. Ling Ying said. Yes. Xiao Suner nodded. Chapter 13. The next day, early morning. As soon as Chu Bei opened the door, he sensed the strangeness of the street. Today's street was not as lively as it should have been. It was unusually desolate. As far as the eye could see, the shops that were usually filled with people were all hastily closing their doors. The pedestrians on the street had a panicked expression, as if they were afraid of something. Among them, there were also people like Chu Bei who didn't know anything. They were anxiously asking questions. What's wrong with all of you? Why are you in such a panic? Hurry up and go home. Something big has happened. All the Xiao family's markets have people poisoned. What's even more frightening is that this poison can be transmitted to other people. Moreover, the mortality rate is not low. The first person who was poisoned was discovered in the early morning. In just a few hours, 9 people have already died. The others who were poisoned are also dying. As far as I know, these people who were poisoned first had a black mark between their eyebrows, followed by shortness of breath, followed by weakness in their entire body. They could only lie paralyzed on the bed, dying. Due to the strong contagion, not only the Xiao family, many people who went to the market were also poisoned. For safety reasons, all the Xiao family's markets have been sealed. No one is allowed to go near them. Don't talk about it. Hurry up and go home to hide. At this juncture, every moment you stay outside increases the risk of being infected. When Chu Bei heard the hurried words on the street, he understood the reason behind it. On the other side, Xiao family meeting hall. At this moment, there were no empty seats in the hall. In the main seats were naturally Xiao Zhan and the 3 elders. In the other seats, most of them were the older generation of the Xiao family. Some of the talented younger generation were also among them, including Xiao Yan. Damn it! This must be the work of the other 2 families. Otherwise, why would all the markets be our Xiao families? Without exception. Ao Ba Pa isn't that ambitious. It's more likely to be Jia Lai Bai. There's no need to guess. This poison must be his doing. A few years ago, he showed that he wanted to take over our Xiao family's market. Especially in recent days, he has been visiting us frequently to express his intentions. I just didn't expect him to use such despicable methods. How despicable! Patriarch, let's go to Jialai Mansion to get the antidote. Xiao family members in the main hall were furious and clenched their fists. If it was really Jialai Bai who did it, do you think he would admit it? Will they give us the antidote? Xiao Zhan asked with a solemn expression. What's the situation in the market? All the markets have been closed. All the poison people have been quarantined, the third elder replied. What about the residents? Xiao Zhan asked. Especially the family members of those poison people. They started to denounce our Xiao family, and even threatened to kick our Xiao family out of Wutan City. Third elder's face was incomparably ugly. Our top priority now is to detoxify these poison people and prevent them from infecting more people. If the situation continues to develop, I'm afraid Wutan City really won't be able to accommodate our Xiao family. The second elder looked at Xiao Zhan and continued. I have already invited a physician from the House of Medicine in Qinshan Town. Physician? The first elder frowned. Physicians, in terms of status, were far inferior to alchemists because they were unable to truly refine pills. They could only use some ordinary flames to mix medicinal ingredients together to achieve the effect of treating people. However, there were also a few physicians with more experience who were respected by the people and had extremely high status. Where is he? Quickly invite him in. Xiao Zhan looked at the second elder and immediately said. Just as Xiao Zhan's voice fell, a woman wearing a white dress walked into the hall. The woman wore a light white dress. Although her appearance couldn't be considered stunning, it was still a rare beauty. The faint smile on her face exuded a fresh and ethereal temperament. This unique temperament greatly increased her charm. The physician's second elder invited is actually a woman. I think I've seen her somewhere before. Little doctor, she's the little doctor. In Qinshan Town, her reputation isn't small. More than half of the mercenaries there have been treated by her. So it's her. I've also heard of her. In all of Qinshan Town, who knows how many people like her? Every time they go to the Magic Beast mountain range to gather medicinal ingredients, if the little doctor goes with them, those mercenary groups will lower the price to the lowest. Moreover, for the remaining spots, there are often fights. If that's the case, then those poison people can be saved. My Xiao family's crisis can also be resolved. The eyes of the people in the hall were instantly attracted by the woman in the white dress, especially those of the younger generation. Their faces were filled with adoration. Greetings to the head of the Xiao family. The little doctor bowed slightly to Xiao Zhan. Fairy doctor, please take a seat. Xiao Zhan was incomparably courteous. I wonder if the fairy doctor has any understanding of this poison? The little doctor shook her head. I'll have to go take a look to find out. All right, I'll take you there now. Xiao Zhan replied. Jialang Island Expressway Estate. One of the three great clans of Wutan City. In a luxurious hall, a tall middle-aged man sat on a sandalwood chair, holding an exquisite teacup in his hand and smiling. Behind him stood a luxuriously dressed young man, who was massaging his shoulders. The youth was about 20 years old. Although his appearance was acceptable, his complexion was somewhat pale. It was clear that he had been on the battlefield for a long time. In addition, there were 8 other people in the hall. They were all people of status in the Jialang Island Expressway estate. With this poisoning incident, I'm afraid that all of Wutan City's residents will avoid the Xiao family market. Haha, especially those infected residents and their relatives. They will hate the Xiao family to the bone. It won't be long before the Xiao family no longer has a place in Wutan City. Their market will also belong to us. In the hall, everyone laughed heartily. Jia Liao, how is the Xiao family? Jia Lai Bai put down the teacup in his hand and looked at the youth behind him. Replying, Father, the Xiao family market has been completely closed. The relatives of the poisoned residents are currently surrounding the Xiao estate, demanding an explanation. Jia Liao immediately replied, his face filled with joy. Truly wonderful. Jia Liao nodded his head in satisfaction. He then looked at a skinny man not far away. This time, the one we have to thank the most is Brother Liu. If it weren't for you researching a contagious poison, the Xiao family wouldn't have fallen into such a predicament. Saying this, Jia Liao switched to a cup of strong wine. Brother Liu, I'll toast you. Brother Jia, it's my honor to be able to serve you. Liu, she replied with a cup of wine. But Brother Jia, don't forget what you promised me. Of course. 3 days. At most 3 days, I'll send Xiao Suner to your room. Jia Liao laughed. That's great. Lu Shi licked his lips. His expression was as if he was already fantasizing about a happy life. Chapter 14. Xiao Family, Marketplace Number 1. The marketplace, which was usually bustling with people, had its entrance closed and was surrounded by rows of fences. Outside the fences, there were dozens of men wearing the Xiao family's uniform. They held long swords in their hands and had serious expressions. The leader was a robust man around 30 years old. On his chest was a badge with 6 golden stars, signifying that he was a 6-star doja. Xiao Zhan, give us an explanation. How is my husband now? Did you guys make this poison? Why do you want to harm us? These past few years, we have done business at your marketplace no less than 100 times. You are all devoid of conscience. Get out of Wu-Tan City! Nearly 100 people surrounded the fences and clamored. Among them, there was no lack of people who had been bribed and had bad intentions. Everyone, Xiao Zhan, will definitely give you an explanation. But for now, I hope that you can give me some time. Xiao Zhan walked out of the marketplace and glanced at the crowd of residents as he spoke. Oh, Brother Xiao seems to have encountered a problem. At this moment, a group of people walked over from afar and a voice filled with laughter could be heard. The leader of this group was Jia Lai Bai. Brother Xiao, the weather is unpredictable. I hope that you will be able to overcome this crisis. Almost at the same time, another group of people walked over. It was the Ao Ba Pa family, one of the 3 great clans. I only want to know if you have a way to cure the poison. A woman questioned Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan's gaze swept across Jia Lai Bai and Ao Ba Pa before looking at the woman and saying, We have already invited the little doctor from Qinshan Town's 1000 Medicine House. She is currently treating the poison. After saying this, Xiao Zhan coldly glanced at Jia Lai Bai and coldly snorted before walking back into the marketplace. Jia Lai Bai's expression slightly changed, and he immediately looked at Lu Shi, who was beside him. Patriarch, rest assured. With my life on the line, a mere doctor will definitely not be able to cure my poison. Lu Shi was incomparably confident. Hearing Lu Shi's words, Jia Lai Bai's expression relaxed. He then looked at Xiao Zhan's back and laughed. Brother Xiao, then I wish you good luck. Let's go. Jia Lai Bai waved his hand and returned home. Miss Little Doctor, how is it? Is there a way? Xiao Zhan's voice was filled with anxiety. After a long while, the fairy doctor stood up from one of the beds and shook her head at Xiao Zhan. Her face was full of regret. Xiao family head, I've never come into contact with this poison before. My abilities are limited. I'm sorry. The little doctor bit her lips and bowed to Xiao Zhan. How could this be? Hearing this, the faces of the Xiao family members immediately darkened and turned extremely ugly. Then what should we do now? If we can't give an explanation to those people outside, I'm afraid the Xiao family will really become the target of public criticism in Wu-Tan City. First Elder clenched his fist. Xiao Zhan fell into silence and frowned. Father, you seem to have forgotten a person. Perhaps he can help us. At this moment, Xiao Yan by the side spoke. With Xiao Yan's reminder, Xiao Zhan seemed to have found a life-saving straw. Yan, hurry up and ask for help from Boss Chu. This is my storage ring. As long as it can cure the poison, I'll pay any price. Xiao Zhan hurriedly said. Xiao Yan nodded, took the storage ring and quickly left. Xiao Yan Gij, I'll go with you. Xiao Suner quickly followed. Half an hour later. Boss Chu, help. Xiao Yan was still 100 meters away from the celestial shop, but he was already shouting at the top of his lungs. You're here. Chu Bei walked out of the house and responded calmly. He then walked back into the house. Soon, Xiao Yan and Xiao Suner also entered the house. When they saw the iron lump robot in the corner again, their faces were filled with dread. Today you're still going to change the plate to improve your strength? Chu Bei smiled and looked at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan shook his head without hesitation. Boss Chu, my Xiao family is in danger. In the wee hours of the morning, all the workers in the major markets belonging to my Xiao family were poisoned by a very strange poison. The scary thing is that this poison is contagious. Many residents have already been infected. I've heard about this. So you're looking for a way to cure the poison? Before Xiao Yan could finish, Chu Bei waved his hand and interrupted him. Boss Chu, do you have a way? Xiao Yan couldn't wait to ask. Chu Bei smiled knowingly. With me, as long as you have money, there's nothing you can't do. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Bei waved his right hand. The void trembled, and a ripple appeared. A golden disc emerged from the ripples. Level 3 Wheel of Fortune. The words emitted a dazzling light. This is the medical series wheel I chose for you. There's what you want here. Chu Bei pointed at the 10 square boxes on the wheel and looked at Xiao Yan with a smile. Level 3? It can't be 100,000 gold coins per turn, right? Xiao Yan asked tentatively. The level 1 wheel was 1,000 gold coins, and the level 2 wheel was 10,000 gold coins. That was why he guessed that it was 100,000 gold coins. Little friend Xiao is a smart person. Chu Bei's eyes were filled with praise. Even though he was mentally prepared, after hearing Chu Bei's confirmation, Xiao Yan couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. However, when he thought about the value of the goods he could get from it, Xiao Yan quickly felt relieved. At least, he had never lost money before. Looking at the level 3 wheel in front of him, Xiao Yan calmed himself down and took out 1,000,000 gold coins from the storage ring. Boss Chu, this is the bottom line of my Xiao family. I can only draw one set. The system gained 10,000 willpower. The host gained 5,000 willpower. With a swoosh, the 1,000,000 gold coins were swallowed by the whirlpool in the center of the wheel. Then, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Ding! The needle spun 10 times and 10 square boxes flew out. Boom! With a loud sound, the 10 square boxes exploded at the same time. Out of the 10 square boxes, 8 were, "Thank you for your patronage." As for the other 2, one was a black pill, and the other was a thick book. Dopa Compendium of Materia Medica? What the F***CK? Xiao Yan first took the thick book. When he saw the words on the cover, he was stunned. Then, a word that didn't belong to this world came out of his mouth. This book covers the information of all the herbs in the Dochi continent. It explains the theory of each herb's medicinal properties. From the smallest to the largest, from the lowest to the most expensive, it is extremely detailed. Chu Bei looked at Xiao Yan. Maybe it is useless to you, but in the eyes of doctors, poison masters, or alchemists, it is a priceless treasure. Xiao Yan nodded in agreement. Even without Chu Bei's words, he understood the value of this book. It was definitely more than 1,000,000 gold coins. Boss Chu, this black pill is? Xiao Yan carefully put away the broken version of the Compendium of Materia Medica. His eyes fell on the black pill. A poison pill. Anyone under the Dodosha realm has no chance of survival. Speaking until here, Chu Bei paused and added, even if a Dodi came, he wouldn't be able to save him. Chapter 15. What? Even a Dodi can't save him? Xiao Yan was shocked. He did not doubt the truth of Chu Bei's words. From his point of view, every word Chu Bei said was the truth, because the other party was this world's bug. On the other hand, Xiao Sun's eyes flashed with disdain. She seemed to think that Chu Bei was exaggerating. After which, Xiao Yan's throat wiggled as he kept the poison pill in an extremely uneasy manner. In the next moment, he seemed to have thought of something and his face turned sour. Boss Chu, I'm considered a regular customer. Can I put it on credit? Just this once. Xiao Yan clasped his hands together and looked at Chu Bei sincerely. My Xiao family is in urgent need of an antidote. Chu Bei smiled warmly at Xiao Yan and did not say anything. He only pointed at the door. The meaning of his action was simple: you can leave now. Boss Chu, I have 1,000,000 gold coins here. I can open another set. At this moment, Xiao Suner spoke and took out 1,000,000 gold coins from her storage ring. Suner, where did you get so much money? Xiao Yan's mouth was wide open. He stared at Xiao Suner with wide eyes. Little friend Xiao, you don't know Miss Suner well enough. Not to mention 1,000,000 gold coins, she can take out tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. Chu Bei's gaze shifted to Xiao Suner. There was a smile in his words. Who are you? Xiao Suner instantly became alert. Don't be nervous. I'm just a merchant. However, I know what I should know and what I shouldn't know, Chu Bei said with a smile. Listening to the conversation between Chu Bei and Xiao Suner, Xiao Yan was confused. The system has gained 10,000 willpower points. The host has gained 5,000 willpower points. According to the host's cultivation base, the host has reached the upper limit of gold coins sold today. Just as Xiao Yan was about to ask something, Xiao Suner's 1,000,000 gold coins were swallowed by the whirlpool in the center of the roulette. And in Chu Bei's mind, the system's voice rang out. Ding! The needle spun, and 10 square boxes flew out. Just like before, there were 8, thank you for your patronage. As for the other 2 items, one was a dark green snake-shaped plant, and the other was a tube of blue liquid. You guys are pretty lucky. It's only been 2 groups and you've already gotten it. Chu Bei's voice rang out. Xiao Yan was stunned at first, then his face lit up with joy. Boss Chu, are you saying that the antidote is between the 2 of them? Chu Bei nodded and pointed at the tube of blue liquid. This is the tea medicine. It was developed by a strange doctor and can cure all poisons. The poison in your Xiao family market can only infect people below the master level, so it must be within the antidote range. Chu Bei continued. As for how to use it, just mix it into water and feed it directly to the poisoned person. That's great! Xiao Yan carefully took the tea medicine and put it into his storage ring. He then looked at the snake-shaped plant. What about this? Snake blood grass. It has a deterrent effect on magic beasts below the 3rd rank. Chu Bei gave a simple introduction. This is also a treasure. With it, it's like having a protective talisman in the outskirts of magic beasts. Xiao Yan put the snake blood grass into his storage ring with satisfaction. He then saluted to Chu Bei. Boss Chu, my father urgently needs me to go back. If you have time, do you want to come with me? Chu Bei nodded slightly. Xiao Family Market Number 1. Xiao Zhan, how long do we have to wait for you to give us an explanation? What happened to those poisoned people? Do you have a way to cure the poison? Where did this poison come from? If you can't cure the poison, I will never visit your market again. Gradually, the residents outside the fence became restless. Some people even tried to force their way into the market, but they were all stopped by the Xiao family guards. Everyone, please wait a little longer. Xiao Zhan calmed the crowd as he looked into the distance. Didn't you say that you invited the fairy doctor from Qinshan Town's 1,000 Medicine House? What did she say? A woman asked. Sorry, my abilities are limited. I can't cure this poison. The fairy doctor walked out and solemnly bowed to the residents with an apologetic look on her face. What do you mean? Is there no hope for my husband? You Xiao family are heartless. If you can't cure the poison, then get out of Wutan City. Hearing the little doctor's words, the residents in front of the fence became even more restless. Make way, everyone, make way. At this moment, Xiao Zhan, who had been paying attention to the street in the distance, had his eyes lit up as if he had found his savior. Boss Chu, you're finally here! Xiao Zhan quickly walked forward, extremely courteous. Father, I have a way to cure the poison. Xiao Yan took out medicament tea from his robes. You just have to mix it in water and feed it to those poisoned people. What is this? The little doctor walked forward and looked at the medicament tea in Xiao Yan's hands with suspicion in her eyes. For safety's sake, Why don't you give me some time to analyze its medicinal properties? Xiao Yan shook his head. Fairy doctor, I understand your caution. But please believe that there will be no problems with it. But even if it can cure the poison, I'm afraid such a small amount can only save one person. If it really is diluted, I'm afraid it won't even cure one person. The little doctor's face was filled with worry. Fairy doctor, there won't be any problems. After saying this, Xiao Yan quickly walked into the market. The fairy doctor seemed to want to say something but swallowed the words that were about to reach her mouth. She could only follow closely behind Xiao Yan. Clan leader, are we going to die? Xiao family leader, I don't want to die yet. You have to think of a way to save us. In the market, whether it was the poisoned Xiao family members, the stall owners, or the buyers, they were all lying on their beds in pain. The more serious ones had a black mark between their eyebrows, their faces were extremely pale, and they were on the verge of death. The less serious ones were short of breath, their faces were hot, and they coughed incessantly. When they saw Xiao Zhan and the little doctor return, the group of poisoned people cried out one after another, their eyes filled with pleading. Everyone, don't worry, you will all be fine soon. Xiao Yan's face was filled with confidence as he poured the tea medicament into a vat of clear water. Soon, the clear water was dyed a light blue. Feed them. After confirming with Xiao Yan and Chu Bei, Xiao Zhan gave the order. Under the questioning gaze of the little doctor, all the poisoned people successively drank the diluted tea medicament antidote water. Half an hour later. Much better, much better. The less serious ones were the first to notice the changes in their bodies, and they were all extremely excited. Their breathing became stable, their body temperature returned to normal, and their coughing disappeared as if nothing had happened. The more serious ones' pale faces regained their color, and their eyebrows returned to normal. Their breathing became stable, and they regained their strength. Thank you, clan leader, Xiao family leader, for saving our lives. More and more poisoned people got up from their beds and walked to Xiao Zhan's side, kneeling down with a plop. Chapter 16. In order to seize the Xiao family's market, the Jiaolai clan did not care about the safety of the people and mixed the contagious poison into the Xiao family's market. Side mission activated. Host exterminates the Jiaolai clan. Mission completion reward, 10,000 willpower. Weapon host can use, enhanced unlimited automatic grenade launcher. Once mission is completed, the weapon will automatically disappear. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Almost at the same time, a large object appeared in the heaven space. It was the grenade launcher given by the system. Chu Bei was surprised by this side mission at first, but he quickly regained his composure. As long as the reward from the system was generous, even if the system asked him to kill a good person, he would not hesitate to accept the mission, let alone the Jiaolai clan that committed such a heinous crime. In these 100 years, he had already comprehended the way of survival. Everyone, the one you should really thank is Boss Chu. The antidote was provided by him. Xiao Zhan hurriedly opened his mouth. Following Xiao Zhan's words, all the poisoned people's gazes focused on Chu Bei. Thank you, Boss Chu, for saving our lives. Everyone's gazes were filled with gratitude and confusion. It was obvious that they were very curious about Chu Bei's background. Although this antidote was made by me, I am a businessman. They paid for it. Chu Bei indicated that there was no need to thank him and said, As for the person who poisoned the antidote, it has nothing to do with the Xiao family. It originated from the Jiaolai clan. It really is them. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Xiao Zhan, the first elder, the second elder, and the others' faces were filled with hatred. You should send the rest of the antidote to the other markets first. Xiao Zhan forcefully suppressed his anger. The most important thing right now was to treat all the poisoned people. It can actually cure the poison. Little Doctor muttered to herself with an expression of disbelief. Only when she recovered from her shock did she quickly take out a container and scooped out some of the antidote. Xiao family head, I want to take some back and study it. Of course, Xiao Zhan replied. Xiao Yan seemed to have thought of something and immediately took out the compendium of materia medica from his storage ring. Miss Fairy Doctor, you can take this book back and study it. You should be interested. Little Doctor took the compendium of materia medica in a daze, but when she turned to the first page, her eyes lit up instantly. Thank you. The little doctor was extremely excited. Look, they're out. When the residents outside the fence saw the poisoned people pouring out of the market, they first cried out in alarm, then retreated one after another, maintaining their distance. Everyone, their poison has been cured. They won't infect you anymore. As Xiao Zhan's voice rang out, the family members of the victims, led by the woman, rushed forward. 2 hours later. Jiao Lai Mansion. Bang! Jiao Lai Bai slammed his palm on the table, instantly turning it into a pile of debris. Brother Lu, didn't you say that this is a newly developed poison that no one in the Kama Empire can cure? Then what's going on now? Jiao Lai Bai looked at Lu Shi and questioned in a cold voice. Was it Qinshan Town's little doctor who cured the poison? Lu Shi avoided Jiao Lai Bai's gaze and asked the guard who came to report. It wasn't little doctor, it was someone called Boss Chu. He was the one who sold the antidote to the Xiao family. The guard immediately replied. Boss Chu? Brother Jia, do you know this person's background? Lu Shi looked at Jiao Lai Bai. I've never heard of such a name. Jiao Lai Bai shook his head and coldly snorted. No matter who he is, I will make him pay a heavy price. Father, the residents of the city now know that we poisoned them and have all gathered outside the mansion. What should we do? Jiao Lai's face was filled with anxiety. They don't have any evidence. Jiao Lai Bai's face darkened. First capture a few and give them a good beating. When the others see, they won't dare to act rashly. Yes, Patriarch. The guard left. Xiao Mansion, Main Hall. Patriarch, Jiao Lai Bai's methods are becoming more and more despicable. This time, if it wasn't for Boss Chu's antidote, our Xiao family wouldn't even have a foothold in Wutan City. The second elder clenched his fists. If we still don't respond, I'm afraid he will really think that our Xiao family is a soft persimmon. Since it's like this, then let's wait for night to fall. Let's catch them off guard. And this battlefield will be their Jiao Lai Mansion. Xiao Zhan's eyes narrowed, revealing a murderous aura. Father, what's the specific time? Xiao Yan asked. Su sure. Xiao Zhan glanced at Xiao Yan, and then swept his gaze over the three elders. Go gather all the doja and above in the family. Yes. The three elders left one after the other. Sure. A cold wind blew and the originally scorching sun in the sky suddenly dimmed. Following the first rumbling sound in the sky, black clouds floated in from the east. Kacha! Lightning flashed, bringing with it a loud sound. The dark sky lit up with white light. Drip, drip. The black clouds became denser and denser. Raindrops finally fell, making a crisp sound. The streets of Wutan City gradually became empty, and the shops closed one after another. Sure. Night had completely fallen. Kacha, kacha. In the distant sky, lightning flashed with streaks of white light, as if they were waving sharp swords. Thunder rumbled in the air, as if drums were being beaten in the air. The raindrops the size of soybeans fell faster and faster. Against the backdrop of the lightning, it was as if gods and demons were dancing chaotically. Thousands of threads spread out from the black clouds that could no longer be seen, and gradually, the sky and the earth were sewn together. In front of the celestial shop, Chu Bei held an umbrella in one hand and an enhanced version of a grenade launcher in the other. Rainy night, night to kill. Looking at the rain that was like a row of arrows shooting towards the ground, Chu Bei flapped his wings. Xiao! With a sound of breaking air, he flew towards the Jiao Lai Mansion. On the other side, Xiao Mansion. In the huge arena, hundreds of people were lined up in an orderly manner. These people were the elites of the Xiao family. Even the weakest person was a doja. Each of them held a weapon in their hands. "Everyone, in today's battle, we can only win and not lose." Xiao Zhan stood on the high platform. His gaze swept across the crowd and his voice was loud and clear. "Destroy the Jiaolai family!" Everyone shouted in unison. "Let's go!" Xiao Zhan jumped down from the high platform and stood at the front of the 100 people. Behind him were the 3 elders, Xiao Yan and Xiao Suner. Ta ta ta! The mighty army of the Xiao family headed towards the Jia mansion. Torrential rain poured down, lightning flashed and thunder roared. The silver lightning was like a dragon roaring in the sky. From time to time, sparks would appear in the sky. At this moment, Chu Bei had already retracted his wings and descended from the sky. He landed in front of the Jialai mansion's tightly shut door with a grave and stern expression. His slightly wet clothes clung to his body. Coupled with the grenade launcher in his hand, he gave off an indescribable sense of majesty. Chapter 17. In front of the main gate of the Jialai mansion, a pair of black ironstone lions stood majestically on both sides. Their manes fluttered in the wind and their hair was like steel needles. Their eyes were glaring angrily as they looked forward. Below their feet was a flying goose. In their mouths was a dragon pearl. Their eyes were completely red, as if there were 2 balls of fire burning inside. At first glance, they were sharp, domineering, and majestic. Unfortunately, they will no longer exist. Chu Bei looked at the black ironstone lions, shook his head and sighed. The reason why he did not directly fly into the mansion was because he was worried that he would miss the guards in front of the gate. "Who are you? Don't tell me you are also here to cause trouble? I'm afraid you did not see how badly we beat those guys during the day." Looking at his appearance, he did not come with good intentions. "Take him down and hand him over to the patriarch." In front of the main gate, the 4 guards of the Jialai mansion sized up Chu Bei. At the same time, they pulled out their swords with a fierce expression. Chu Bei was expressionless. His gaze swept across the 4 guards who were walking towards him, and then he set up the grenade launcher. The muzzle was aimed. The trigger was pulled. Boom! Accompanied by a dazzling light, an earth-shattering sound rang out. In the next moment, a mournful scream rang out. The 4 guards were sent flying, their flesh and blood badly mutilated. The main gate exploded, and the 2 majestic stone lions on both sides of the gate shattered into pieces. Only a red lantern was left hanging on the edge of the gate. However, under the impact of the rain, it was on the verge of collapse, revealing a feeling of being swayed by the wind and rain. "What was that sound just now? What happened?" In the Jialai mansion, everyone including Jialai Bai, Jialai Ao, and Lu Shi were alarmed by the loud sound. They all walked out of their houses. Ta 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 ta! In the midst of the hurried footsteps, more and more Jialai clansmen and guards walked towards the main gate. Each of their faces were filled with vigilance. "Who are you? How dare you break into the Jialai mansion at night? Do you not want to live anymore?" The group of guards closest to the main gate was the first to discover Chu Bei. Looking at the shattered main gate, a trace of fear flashed through their eyes. After recovering from their shock, they all aimed their spears at Chu Bei. The tip of the spear was pointed at Chu Bei's head. Chu Bei glanced at the guards around him. His expression didn't change at all as he continued to walk along the main road. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. With the torrential rain pouring down, every step Chu Bei took would cause a splash of water. This wave of guards followed closely behind, but no one dared to make the first move. Not long after, Chu Bei met the assembled Jialai mansion's army, led by Jialai Bai. "Who are you? Do you know where this is?" Jialai Bai stopped and coldly stared at Chu Bei as he shouted. "Master, he's Boss Chu." One of the guards recognized Chu Bei and quickly said, "So you're the one who ruined my plans." Hearing the guard's words, killing intent emerged on the faces of Jialai Bai, Lu Shi and the others. Especially Jialai Bai, who clenched his fists so tightly that his veins bulged. The battle for the market is supposed to be a fair competition for the market. But you guys are extremely despicable, using unscrupulous means to poison a Shao family in the market. Moreover, this poison is contagious, harming innocent residents. Chu Bei's gaze swept across Jia Lai Bai, Lu Shi and the others, his face expressionless. Kill him! Jia Lai Bai's face was filled with disgust as he looked at Chu Bei. He waved his hand and gave the order to the guards around him. Kacha! In the dark sky, a thick bolt of lightning once again streaked across, splitting the night sky into two halves. The devastating thunderstorm rolled up a few broken leaves on the streets of Changxiang, bringing with it a cold, killing intent. Master, what's going on? Could it be that the residents did it during the day? Impossible! There are at least 100 doge in the Jialai mansion. How could they let a bunch of residents destroy the main gate? The guards in front of the gate seem to have died not long ago, but what kind of weapon could make them so badly mutilated, as if they were charred? In front of the Jialai mansion, a group of Shao clansmen rushed over with faces full of astonishment as they looked at the shattered stone lion and the 4 tragic corpses. Bang! Bang! At this moment, 2 loud sounds came from within the mansion. Hearing this, Xiao Zhan's eyes narrowed. I'm afraid that the person who destroyed the main gate of the Jialai mansion is still inside. Let's kill our way in. No matter who it is, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, the great elder said. Then, the Shao mansion's army aggressively rushed into the Jialai mansion, their battle intent high. However, when they reached the depths of the mansion, everyone, including Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan, stopped in their tracks. When they saw the scene in front of them clearly, each of them gulped subconsciously, their eyes filled with disbelief. The ground, which should have been flat, had several deep pits. Smoke was rising from each of the pits, and the rainwater and the surroundings had all evaporated. There were only dark red bloodstains, mangled flesh and bones, scattered limbs, and shattered weapons. There were even some corpses that were completely charred black, as if they had been roasted in a fire, extremely terrifying. Chu! Boss Chu! How could it be him? Xiao Zhan, Xiao Yan, and the rest stared in front of them in a daze, as if they had been struck by lightning and were made of wood. At this moment, only a few of the hundreds of Jialai Mansion's guards were left. Looking at the deep pits and the ghastly corpses, they involuntarily began to retreat. Father, what should we do now? Jialai's gaze was firmly fixed on the half-meter-long grenade launcher in Chu Bei's hand that was emitting smoke. His face was filled with fear. Jialai Bai did not reply, but the gaze he used to look at Chu Bei was filled with dread. He had even ignored the Shao Mansion's army. Scared? Chu Bei's voice was indifferent as he aimed the cannon at Jialai Bai. We still don't know who will die. Jialai Bai's face was filled with viciousness. Boundless Do energy formed a Do energy armor around his body. At the same time, he clenched his right hand into a claw and his body suddenly leaned forward, quickly rushing towards Chu Bei. Chu Bei pulled the trigger. Boom! Another loud sound rang out, like a thunderclap. A white light merged with Jialai Bai. Kacha! In an instant, Jialai Bai's Do energy armor shattered. Accompanied by a blood-curdling scream, he was annihilated by the white light. No, no! Jialai's body trembled, his face pale. Run, why aren't you running? Seeing this scene, Lu Shi was the first to react. He took to his heels and ran away. Even a 6-star Dodosher like Jialai Bai couldn't withstand a single blow from that big guy, not to mention him. The other guards also came back to their senses. Ignoring Jialai, they threw down their weapons and scattered. With such actions, none of you will be able to escape. Chu Bei's expression was indifferent. His calm voice sounded like a demon from hell in the ears of Lu Shi, Jialai, and the others. In the next moment, Chu Bei flapped his invisible wings and soared into the air. He aimed the cannon at Lu Shi and the others who were running away. Not borrowing external force to stay in the air, not transforming Do energy into wings, this is the mark of a Do zone. Looking at Chu Bei in the air, Xiao Zhan's mouth was wide open as he cried out in surprise. The respect in the eyes of the three elders of the Xiao family increased. Not to mention Wutan City, even in the entire Kama Empire, a Dozong was a high and mighty existence, worthy of worship and reverence. Chapter 18. Who would have thought that the person who wanted to kill me was actually a Dozong? I am but a small Tier 1 alchemist, how could I be worthy? When he saw Chu Bei flying high in the sky, Lu Shi immediately stopped running and laughed like a madman. Boom! 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 Following Chu Bei's pull of the trigger, another 3 earth-shattering sounds rang out. In the blinding white light, Lu Shi, Jia Lai Ao and the remaining guards turned into nothingness. Clan head, it seems that there is nothing left for us to do here. The third elder scanned his surroundings and found that there were no more Jia Lai mansion guards alive. Host has exterminated the Jia Lai clan, mission completed reward, 10,000 willpower. At the same time the system sound rang out, the enhanced version of the grenade launcher in Chu Bei's hand turned into a rain of light and disappeared. Xiao family head, I will leave the rest of the cleanup to you. You should also take over the Jia Lai mansion's market. As for the public announcement, just say that you did it. Chu Bei said indifferently as he descended from the sky and landed in front of Xiao Zhan. Okay. Xiao Zhan was startled at first, but after regaining his senses, he immediately nodded in response, unable to hide his excitement. Boss Chu, was that thing you used a howitzer? Can you take it out and let me take a closer look? Xiao Yan probed. Hearing Xiao Yan's unfamiliar words, Xiao Suner, Xiao Zhan and the rest were at a loss. It is as you think, but it is an enhanced version. Seeing that Xiao Yan wanted to say something but stopped, Chu Bei continued. It is waiting for you at the level 4 Wheel of Fortune. With a smile on his face, Chu Bei soared into the sky and flew towards the All Heavens shop. We actually made friends with the Dozong. This is the Xiao family's fortune. Looking at Chu Bei's gradually disappearing figure, Xiao Zhan let out a long sigh. Xiao Yan Gij, how much do you know about him? Just tell me what you know. Xiao Suner tugged at Xiao Yan's arm and acted like a spoiled child. Suner, as you can see, he is a businessman, an omnipotent businessman. Xiao Yan patted Xiao Suner's head and did not say much. As soon as Chu Bei returned to the All Heaven shop, his attention fell on the system's light screen. During the day, he had earned 2 million gold coins and received 10,000 willpower points. As a reward from the system quest, he received another 10,000 willpower points. Currently, he had a total of 20,280 willpower. Chu Bei did not hesitate, and used all of it to exchange for his cultivation. After deducting 5,000 willpower, Chu Bei's cultivation rose from 4-star fighter to 9 stars fighter. Following which, another 5,000 will points were deducted. The cyclone within Chu Bei's body melted into a liquid state, and he stepped into the realm of master combat. Unlike the fighter realm, the fighter master realm required 5,000 willpower to advance by 1 star. The host has successfully converted his cultivation base. 3 stars fighter master realm to 0,000 willpower points deducted. Feeling his body brimming with energy, Chu Bei waved his robe and a thin layer of purple gauze appeared on his body. Dochi gauze, the symbol of a fighter master. As the Xiao family's poison crisis was resolved, Wutan City regained its liveliness. But today, all the streets and taverns in the city were intensely discussing the Jia Lai mansion. Have you heard? The Jia Lai mansion was exterminated. Of course I know. I was just passing by the Jia Lai mansion, but I was surrounded and turned into Xiao mansion's guards. It must have been done last night. Jia Lai Bai used poison and almost brought disaster to the entire Wutan city. This kind of person deserves to die. That's right. What the Xiao mansion did was very satisfying. According to my insider information, the Xiao mansion was just a replacement. The one who exterminated the Jia Lai mansion was someone else. Is that true? Quickly tell us. If it involves a fighter master, I don't dare to say. At this moment, a woman wearing a white dress was quietly standing in front of Celestial's shop. The door opened. Little doctor? Recognizing the woman in the white dress, Chubei's face showed surprise. If he opened the door and saw Xiao Yan or Xiao Suner, that would be within his expectations. But to his surprise, it was actually the little doctor. Boss Chu, I went back and studied the diluted antidote you gave me last night, but I still couldn't figure it out. The little doctor pursed her lips and stared at Chubei. Do you have the method to make that antidote? I can buy it with money. I do, but if you want to get it, I'm afraid you'll have to spend at least 1,000,000 gold coins, Chubei said after a moment of silence. Although the little doctor's appearance couldn't be considered stunning, she was still a rare beauty. This was especially true for her refreshing and ethereal temperament, which greatly increased her charm. 1,000,000 gold coins! Hearing this number, the little doctor's eyes widened. After a long time, Boss Chu, I don't have that much money. Sorry to bother you. The little doctor kneaded her skirt, her voice soft. Don't go yet, I'm lacking a cook. Just as the little doctor turned around, Chubei said, If you really want to get the method to make the tea antidote, then help me with my daily chores. As for your living quarters, you can sleep on the second floor. If I'm satisfied, I'll give it to you. Ah? That's great. Thank you, Boss Chu. The little doctor was stunned at first, but then her face filled with joy. Move in today, Chubei said. He promised that he didn't have any ulterior motives. It was purely because he was worried that the little doctor's woeful poison body would break out. If something happened under his watch, he might be able to help. On the other side. Primer Auction House. Wutan City's largest auction house belonged to the Kama Empire's wealthiest family, the Primer family. In a spacious room that was decorated with gold and jade, a white-haired old man in green robes was examining several stalks of medicinal herbs. On his chest, there was a medicine furnace. On the surface of the medicine furnace, there were 2 ripples that flickered with silver light. Gu and I, Primer Auction House's second-grade alchemist. Master Gu and I, how is the appraisal? At this time, a beautiful woman wearing a red dress walked in. Her charming voice could make one's bones go numb. Yafei, Wutan City's well-known beauty. She was also the head auctioneer of the Primer Auction House. It's really strange. I've never seen these herbs before, but their effects are exactly the same as what's written on these papers. It's even better. Gu and I put down the herbs in his hand and looked at Yafei with a puzzled face. Where did you get these? They were sent by the Xiao family's third son, Xiao Yan. He wanted us to auction them off. Yafei swayed her waist, her rosy cherry lips slightly opened and closed. When the auction is over, you go to the Xiao family and ask Xiao Yan where he got these herbs. Gu and I narrowed his eyes. Maybe this Xiao Yan found a medicine valley that no one has ever explored before. Other than these, there should be even higher grade herbs. If that's really the case, then I must find out the location of this medicine valley from his mouth, no matter the cost. Yafei carefully picked up all the herbs and turned to leave. Chapter 19. Celestial Shop. Little doctor, why are you here? Xiao Yan saw the little doctor cooking as soon as he entered the house. His face was full of shock. Young Master Xiao, I will stay here for the next few days and take care of Boss Chu's daily necessities. The little doctor was not reserved because of Xiao Yan's arrival. At this time, Chu Bei also came out of the house. Boss Chu, your luck with women is not bad, Xiao Yan said in a strange tone. Did you bring enough money? Chu Bei went straight to the point. Of course, Xiao Yan said proudly. The money from the auction house, plus the wealth from Jiaolai Mansion, is a total of 2,000,000 gold coins. This is not enough, Chu Bei replied. The limit increased again? Xiao Yan asked tentatively. Chu Bei nodded. With his current cultivation, the limit has already reached 5 million gold coins. The rest of the benefits will be given to others. Who told me to be poor? Xiaoyan spread out his hands. My current cultivation is at 8-star warrior. Let's spin the level 2 wheel first. Chu Bei waved his sleeves, and the void trembled. The level 2 wheel of fortune appeared. This was the first time the fairy doctor had seen such a scene, and her face was filled with astonishment. Xiaoyan took out 300,000 gold coins first. The system received 3,000 willpower. The host received 1,500 willpower. The needle turned. 3 sets 30 times. 30 boxes exploded. 20 thanks for your patronage, 5 level 2 monster cores, 4 herbs, and 1 warrior pill. Got it! Seeing the doja pill, Xiaoyan subconsciously cried out. Then, he directly grabbed the warrior pill and ate it. Promoted to 9 stars warrior. Boss Chu, next should be the level 3 wheel of fortune, right? Xiaoyan sighed in relief and guessed based on his experience. Not bad. Chu Bei nodded. From 9 stars doja to dosher, you need condensation pill, then dosher pill. With that said, Chu Bei's divine telekinesis moved, and the wheel changed from level 2 to level 3. Xiaoyan was very nimble as he took out 7 million gold coins. The system has gained 17,000 willpower points. The host has gained 8,500 willpower points. The needle turned again. 1 set 7 times, 17 times. The host has completed 5 transactions. You are rewarded with a large transaction. Upper limit, 50,000 willpower. Trade target below Do Zone, suggested target, Yun Yun. According to the situation, the host can freely use 2 level 8 products in the store. Suddenly, a series of system notifications rang out. Yun Yun? Chu Bei was stunned. And right at this moment, a new map of the mountain range of magical beasts appeared on Chu Bei's system screen. There was a red dot on the map, which represented Yun Yun's location. Chu Bei came back to his senses, his face full of smiles. 50,000 willpower points. This was the system's benefit. Bang! With a loud bang, the 17 boxes Xiaoyan was spinning exploded. 11 thanks for your patronage, for level 3 demon cores, 1 herb, and 1 sky blue spiral-shaped pill. Boss Chu, what is it? Xiaoyan's gaze was fixed on the spiral-shaped pill, and he asked nervously. Your luck is not bad. Chu Bei smiled. It really is a condensation pill. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Xiaoyan laughed out loud. Then, Xiaoyan carefully took the condensation pill. Just as the condensation pill entered his mouth, Xiaoyan clearly felt an external energy invading his body. Under this power, every piece of his bones, flesh, and blood seemed to have undergone a metamorphosis. Gradually, they were filled with vigorous power. At the same time, the Doqi vortex in his abdomen began to spin faster and faster, until it began to turn into liquid. A few seconds later, Xiaoyan's clothes fluttered without any wind, and a Doqi several times stronger than before gushed out from his body. Feeling the energy in his body, Xiaoyan was extremely excited. He suddenly stretched out his right palm, and then clenched it. Suddenly, a majestic Doqi appeared on the surface of his body, and then converged, forming a layer of Do-Chi defense. Do-Chi cloak, the symbol of a Do master. I broke through just like that. The little doctor at the side was so shocked that her mouth could not close. The scene she witnessed had already broken her understanding of cultivation. Boss Chu, I almost forgot to tell you something. After the excitement, Xiaoyan seemed to have remembered something, and hurriedly said, Primer Auction House's Yafei kept asking me where I got those herbs, and I told her that I bought them from here. It's okay, you introduced me to a customer. Chu Bei did not mind. Ta. Hurried footsteps came from outside the room. Father, why are you here? Seeing the person who came, Xiaoyan's face showed confusion. Canaan College is recruiting students, and I told the teacher about your age and cultivation. Xiao Zhan respectfully greeted Chu Bei, and then said, If it wasn't for my reputation in Wutan City, I'm afraid that they wouldn't have believed me. Before Xiao Zhan finished speaking, two people came in from outside the room. One was a woman wearing a green dress, with a gentle smile on her beautiful face. The other was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe, with a cold face and a knife scar on his forehead, giving him a fierce appearance. Yan Er, these two are Canaan College's recruiting teachers. This is Teacher Ruo Ling, a 6-star Dedosher, and this is Teacher Luo Tian, 2 stars Do Ling. Xiao Zhan introduced Xiao Yan to the green-dressed woman and the black-robed man in a very polite manner. Canaan College, located at the border between the Kama Empire and the other two empires, is a famous Do-Chi academy in the Do-Chi continent. It is a holy land in the hearts of all the youths of the three empires. As long as you can graduate from the academy, your future will be smooth. Not only will you be able to hold your head high and return home in glory, but you will also be a hot steamed bun that all the factions will fight over. Compared to the sects, after graduating from the academy, you will not have any compulsory relationship with the academy. But the sects are different. There are many restrictions, and every move you make represents the sect. Xiao family head, let me see if he is really as you said, a 15-year-old 8-star doja. Teacher Ruo Ling suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Xiao Yan's arm. The sudden attack caused Xiao Yan's do-chi to involuntarily surge out of his body. 1-star do-sure. Sensing Xiao Yan's do-chi fluctuation, Teacher Ruo Ling's pupils shrank, her face full of disbelief. At the same time, Teacher Luo Tian also showed an expression of disbelief. However, the shock of the two of them was quickly replaced by excitement and excitement. The gazes they used to look at Xiao Yan had an additional heat, as though they had met a treasure. A 15-year-old do-sure. Not to mention the three empires of the East, even in the entire Do-Chi continent, there are very few of them. A monster among geniuses. Teacher Luo Tian, this time we really came to the right place. This trip was not in vain. Ruo Ling's expression was excited. If we bring this kid back, I'm afraid even the dean will be alarmed. We will definitely be rewarded. Luo Tian stared at Xiao Yan, already beginning to look forward to a beautiful future. Chapter 20. Father, you want me to go to Canaan College? Xiao Yan understood Xiao Zhan's thoughts and shook his head. I don't want to go there. Little guy, don't tell me you don't know about Canaan College? Seeing Xiao Yan's face full of disgust, Luo Tian frowned. Once you enter Canaan College, you will have access to a variety of techniques and skills. With your talent, you might even have the opportunity to learn Earth-class techniques and skills. Teacher Luo Tian is right. Teacher Ruo Ling continued. If you stay in this small Wutan city, you will only be buried. The further you go in the path of cultivation, the more you will need external resources. Canaan College can provide you with continuous resources. Teachers, I have my own cultivation method. Xiao Yan still refused. Following Boss Chu is the way to go. If I go to Canaan College, I will really be buried. Boss Chu? Luo Tian couldn't help but look at Chu Bei. After sizing him up, a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. Let me see what kind of ability he has to make you look down on Canaan College. Luo Tian snorted coldly. Then a violent do-chi gushed out from his body, shaking the air in the room. Teacher Luo Tian, don't! Sensing Luo Tian's intention, Xiao Zhan's face changed. However, before he could stop him, Luo Tian had already gathered do-chi on his right fist and punched towards Chu Bei. Chu Bei waited for a moment. The iron lump robot in the corner didn't move. Helpless, he could only reach out with a finger. Chu Bei's finger seemed slow, but suddenly released a dazzling light. The energy fluctuation at the tip of his finger brought about ripples. Feeling the terrifying energy coming towards him, Luo Tian's pupils suddenly shrank. His originally careless expression suddenly became dignified. Overlapping palms! Luo Tian turned his fist into a palm. His do-chi rose to the limit. He struck out with his palm, and several palm prints appeared on his palm. Layers upon layers of palm prints stacked on top of each other before finally converging together. Their fingers and palms touched. The glaring light around Chu Bei's fingertips instantly converged at a single point. Bang! A terrifying energy fluctuation burst out. With a miserable cry, Luo Tian's entire body flew out of the house and smashed into the street, creating a deep pit. How is this possible? Looking at Luo Tian painfully crawling out of the pit, Instructor Ruo Ling's expression froze, as if she had lost her soul. Folded palms was a low earth level fighting technique. In Canaan College, only instructors above fighting spirit were qualified to practice it. With the strength of a 3-star Luo Tian Douling, he could fight with a 4-star or even a 5-star Douling if he were to use his folded palms. However, such a powerful move was easily destroyed by the young man in front of him with a single finger. The fairy doctor, who was standing at the side, was also shocked. She didn't expect Chu Bei to be so powerful in addition to being able to use the lucky plate. As for Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan, they were very calm. They only felt pity for Luo Tian. Fighting! Fighting king! Luo Tian crawled out of the pit and looked at Chu Bei in horror. He couldn't imagine that a young man who looked like he was only 23 or 24 years old was actually a fighting king. His right palm had been pierced through. His flesh was badly mangled and the bones in his hand were shattered inch by inch. Don't just look at everything with your eyes. Consider this a lesson for you. Chu Bei looked at Luo Tian expressionlessly, his voice indifferent. That finger just now was an attack type level 6 item that he had spent 10,000 willpower points to purchase. Enhanced telepathic finger. Unfortunately, it was a one-time use item. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Luo Tian and Ruo Ling looked at each other, then looked at Xiao Yan. In the end, they turned and left unwillingly. Boss Chu, I didn't expect Instructor Luo Tian to be so reckless. I'm really sorry, Xiao Zhan said apologetically. He's already paid for it. Chu Bei's expression was indifferent. Looking at Xiao Yan, he said, The Doqi continent is very big. At Canaan College, you'll be able to understand the world more comprehensively. Moreover, if you stay in Wutan City, with the Xiao family's financial resources, I'm afraid you won't be able to spin the fortune wheel soon. Hearing this, Xiao Yan fell into silence. The truth was indeed so. Just like today, the opponent's upper limit was 5 million. Even if he used up all his liquid assets, he only had 2 million. Father, I've decided. I'm going to Canaan College. After a long time, Xiao Yan made his decision. On the day of departure, don't forget to put the ring back on. With your current strength, the existence inside the ring will soon awaken. Chu Bei reminded. Boss Chu, what's inside the ring? Xiao Yan asked, his eyes filled with curiosity and desire. You'll know when the time comes. Chu Bei revealed a meaningful smile. After Xiao Yan and Xiao Zhan left, Chu Bei used the rest of his willpower to exchange for cultivation. Host successfully exchanged for cultivation. 5 stars of Doshir 10000 willpower deducted. Little doctor, I'm going out for a bit. After speaking, Chu Bei opened his invisible wings and flew out of the house. Following the red dot on the system's map, he embarked on the journey to find Yunlan sect. One of the biggest forces in the Kama Empire. The sect was located on a majestic mountain 10 kilometers away from the capital. This mountain was also called Misty Cloud Mountain. Looking at the peak of Misty Cloud Mountain, it was surrounded by clouds and mist, like a fairyland. Up and down the mountain, one could see Yunlan sect's disciples training hard. At this moment, on top of a black rock at the edge of a cliff, there was a woman wearing a moon-white robe. Her hands were forming seals and her eyes were closed as she trained. Senior Sister Nalan, Elder Nalan Su is here. A girl wearing a pink dress walked up. Father? Why is he here? Nalan Yenren frowned. Not long after, a middle-aged man with a gloomy face quickly walked to the edge of the cliff. Father, aren't you busy every day? Why do you have time to come to the Yunlan sect? Nalan Yenran walked up and grabbed Nalan Su's arm. When I came back, I heard that you privately rejected the marriage arranged by Elder Nalan? Nalan Su questioned. In the family, who doesn't know that your grandfather wants face? Your actions now will undoubtedly let others say that our Nalan family saw the Shao family's power weakened and disdained to form a marriage alliance with them, thus breaking the promise and abandoning the marriage. My marriage, why can grandfather decide it with just a word? Regarding this matter, I will make the decision. Nalan Yenran's gaze met with Nalan Su's. If you really want to fulfill the so-called agreement, then let grandfather marry over. Shut up! Nalan Su scolded. You've been in the Yunlan sect for too long, you actually dare to say such words. I heard that Xiaoyan, that guy, was reduced to a waste 3 years ago. Do you think he's not good enough for you because of this? Nalan Su said again. Even so, you should have told me in advance. Father and you will think of a way together. Waste? He's not a waste. Everything is a facade. Nalan Su's words seemed to stab Nalan Yenran's heart. After a cold snort, Nalan Yenran took out a crumpled piece of paper from her bosom and threw it to Nalan Su. Letter of divorce. Nalan Su's gaze was instantly attracted by the 2 striking words, and his expression suddenly changed. Damn Xiaoyan! He actually dares to treat my Nalan Su's daughter like this. After Nalan Yenran recounted what happened that day, Nalan Su clenched his fist, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Chapter 21. Magic Beast Mountain Range. Chu Bei flew along the map on the system screen. Just as he reached the inner part of the mountain range, a violent lion's roar came from afar like a thunderclap. Chu Bei's eyes narrowed when he heard this. He stared intently at the distant sky. Vaguely, he could see 2 figures intertwining. Have they already started fighting? Chu Bei sped up again. Rumble! In the distant horizon, green and red colors each filled half of the sky. Violent energy fluctuations caused muffled thunder-like explosions to ring out. The terrifying power caused by the battle caused the magic beasts in the forest below to crawl on the ground and tremble. On the battlefield, a figure was a huge magic beast that was 7 to 8 meters long. Its body was covered with a layer of purple crystals. The sunlight shone and radiated in all directions. It was dazzling. Its head was a rather ferocious-looking lion's head. Its blood-red eyes glowed with a strange purple light, and its huge mouth was filled with fangs. On top of the lion's head, there was a fiery red spiral horn, and clusters of purple flames were circling around the tip of the horn. On the side of the huge lion's body, there was a pair of purple wings. As the purple wings flapped, clusters of purple flames swept out like flamethrowers. Its 4 thick claws were also covered with a layer of purple crystals. Every time it stepped on the ground, it would cause the void to tremble. Amethyst-winged lion, a level 6 magic beast. The other figure was a beautiful woman in a plain dress. The woman held a sword that had a strange appearance, and was emitting a green glow. Her fine black hair was tied up into a noble phoenix hairpin. Her beautiful and moving face was calm and tranquil, and she revealed a graceful and noble appearance that was difficult to conceal in plain clothes. On the beautiful woman's back, a pair of green wings formed by battle energy flapped. Human woman, I'll give you one more chance. Scram! The amethyst-winged lion spoke in human language and shouted. If I don't get the purple spirit crystal, I won't leave! The beautiful woman pointed her long sword at the amethyst-winged lion. You are trying to wear down my patience! The amethyst-winged lion let out a roar and the purple crystal on its body shone brightly. Turbulent purple flames rose from its body and gathered into a huge purple fire pillar that shot into the sky. Then let's continue! The beautiful woman flapped the green wings on her back and swung the long sword in her hand. On the tip of the sword, a circle of rapidly rotating wind blades emitted a chilling sound. Rumble! The 2 figures intertwined again. The energy storm from the collision swept out in a frenzy, and the forest below was completely torn apart. The battle became more and more intense. You don't know what's good for you. Suddenly, the amethyst-winged lion let out another roar, and the purple light on its body became even brighter. In an instant, the resplendent purple light overshadowed the green light behind the woman. Not good. Sensing the might of the amethyst-winged lion, Chu Bei's heart sank. However, his speed had already reached its limit. The beautiful woman's face also became dignified. Within a radius of a few feet, the wind began to howl. Amethyst seal. Just as the amethyst-winged lion finished speaking, all the purple light in the sky suddenly shrunk. In an instant, the purple light that filled the sky was compressed into a dark purple pillar of light that was only about half a foot long. Then, it swept toward the beautiful woman like lightning. Wind push style. The woman waved her sword, and countless dark green wind blades that were more than 100 feet long rushed out from the tip of the sword. Rumble! The purple light pillar and the dark green wind blades collided. In just a moment, the wind blades were at a disadvantage and then exploded. On the other hand, the purple light pillar only dimmed slightly. After destroying the wind blades, the purple light pillar continued to charge forward, piercing through dozens of wind shields in front of the beautiful woman, and finally shot into her body. At this moment, the amethyst-winged lion appeared in front of the beautiful woman, and 5 sharp claws pierced toward the woman's chest. Extreme wind, meteorite kill. Seeing that the amethyst-winged lion's claws were about to pierce through the beautiful woman, the long sword in the woman's hand trembled, and a thin ray of light that was almost the size of a thumb shot out. Chi! The ray of light was extremely fast, and in an instant, it swept in front of the amethyst-winged lion's head. Fortunately, the amethyst-winged lion was extremely sensitive, and it lowered its head immediately. However, although it avoided the fatal part, the ray of light still hit the red horn on its head, and cut it in half. I'm going to tear you into pieces. The amethyst-winged lion let out a heart-wrenching cry of pain, and its sharp claws condensed a terrifying energy once again. However, the beautiful woman, who was finally able to catch her breath, suddenly turned back, and her body flashed strangely, and disappeared directly. She can't have run far. Search, you must find her for me. Looking at the direction where the beautiful woman disappeared, the amethyst-winged lion let out a ferocious roar filled with murderous intent. At the same time, the magical beasts in the mountain ran wildly. As expected, I didn't make it in time. When he heard the amethyst-winged lion shout out the amethyst seal, Chu Bei had a bad feeling. After sighing, Chu Bei also changed his direction and continued to fly in the direction of the red dot on the map. Soon, Chu Bei found Yun Yun in a river under a waterfall. At this moment, Yun Yun's whole body was drenched, and her eyes were closed. Her face was pale, and there were still drops of blood at the corner of her mouth. The originally clear river was dyed red with blood. It was obvious that Yun Yun's injuries were very serious. According to the plot, this should have been Xiao Yan's benefit. Looking at Yun Yun in the water, Chu Bei muttered to himself, "Unfortunately, I'm here too. The main character has changed." After lamenting, Chu Bei walked to Yun Yun's side. But just as he reached out to hold Yun Yun's waist and was about to carry her out of the water, the latter's originally closed eyes suddenly opened. She stared at Chu Bei with a cold, murderous intent in her eyes. Meeting Yun Yun's murderous gaze, Chu Bei was stunned at first, but he quickly regained his composure. Not only did he not let go of the hand that was holding Yun Yun's waist, but he used more strength and directly carried her in front of him. "Do you want to die? Let go of me!" Yun Yun scolded. However, due to her serious injuries and the fact that the wind of meteorite had exhausted the last of her energy, she did not even have the strength to struggle, let alone attack Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored Yun Yun's cries and directly soared into the air, flying towards the nearest cave. Who are you?" Seeing Chu Bei flying in the air, Yun Yun's expression suddenly changed. Other than shock, there was also vigilance. At first, she could not detect Chu Bei's battle energy fluctuation and thought that he was just an ordinary person who happened to be passing by. But just now, the other party's ability to soar into the air without using battle energy to transform into wings changed her opinion. Don't be nervous, I'm here to save you. Chu Bei looked down at Yun Yun in his arms and said lightly. Do you know my identity? Yun Yun endured the pain in her body and asked with a frown. Yun Yun, the current sect leader of the Yunlan sect. Chu Bei casually replied. Chapter 22. Who exactly are you? Hearing Chu Bei say her name and identity, Yun Yun glared at him. A businessman. Arriving at the cave, Chu Bei laid Yun Yun flat on the ground. Are you from the Primer family? As soon as Yun Yun said that, she immediately refuted her guess. No, I've dealt with the Primer family before, but I've never seen you before. Let me heal you first. Chu Bei ignored Yun Yun's question. With a thought, he took out an exquisite jade bottle through the system. Inside the jade bottle was a sky-blue liquid that emitted a refreshing fragrance that refreshed one's mind. Smelling it made one feel refreshed. In the reward of this large transaction, he could freely use 2 level 8 items from the system store. To be exact, although there were higher level items in the system store, the items above level 9 were all grayish-black in color. In short, whether it was pawning or selling, the highest level of the current items was level 8. For the first item, Chu Bei naturally chose the item that could unlock the seal on Yun Yun's body and heal her injuries. Blue Spirit Water, a level 8 item, could take care of both at the same time. Take your hand away! Just as Chu Bei was about to untie Yun Yun's clothes, Yun Yun shouted again. The murderous intent in her eyes intensified. Due to her extreme anger, she forcefully channeled her combat power and spat out blood. Even if you want to take revenge on me, you have to get better first, right? Chu Bei's hands did not stop moving. He slowly removed Yun Yun's soaked clothes. The deep bloodstains on her chest were shocking. I'll kill you! I'll definitely kill you! Yun Yun shouted herself hoarse. She glared at Chu Bei fiercely as if she wanted to remember Chu Bei's appearance. Chu Bei coughed dryly. After he felt that he had relieved the awkwardness, the blue spirit water in the jade bottle dripped down and landed on Yun Yun's wound. Hiss, feeling the coolness of the wound, Yun Yun sucked in a breath of cold air, which seemed to increase her pain. The hatred and killing intent in her eyes towards Chu Bei intensified. However, as more and more blue liquid seeped into the wound began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Gradually, color returned to Yun Yun's pale face, and the weak aura on her body grew stronger little by little. At the same time, Yun Yun's painful and twisted expression began to ease. The anger and killing intent in her eyes were replaced by shock and astonishment. In the end, Yun Yun even closed her eyes as if she was using the blue spirit water to speed up the release of the seal. Bang! After a long time, a low sound came from Yun Yun's body. It was also at this moment that Yun Yun, who was originally lying flat on the ground, suddenly got up and took a step back, distancing herself from Chu Bei. Extreme wind, meteorite! A long sword appeared in Yun Yun's hand. The tip of the sword trembled slightly, and a deep ray of light the size of a thumb shot towards Chu Bei's right hand. Obviously, Yun Yun's intention was to destroy the arm that touched her body. Feeling the sharp sword light, Chu Bei's heart tightened. However, he was already prepared, so he didn't dodge or evade. Layers of circular patterns suddenly appeared from the center of his black pupils outwards. Just as the deep ray of light from Yun Yun was about to cut off Chu Bei's right arm, Chu Bei's mutated eyes seemed to turn into a whirlpool with the power of devouring. In an instant, the deep ray of light uncontrollably changed direction and was swallowed by Chu Bei's mutated eyes, disappearing without a trace. How is this possible? Don't tell me you're really a Dozong! Yun Yun stared at Chu Bei in disbelief and instinctively took a few steps back. Her voice was filled with horror. Before, she thought that Chu Bei should have some strength, but it would never reach the level of Dou's zone. There is a high probability that he is also Do Huang, or even below Do Huang. As for the other party's Do Chi wings, it should be hidden through some kind of secret technique. But just now, when she used the extreme wind meteorite and was quietly annihilated by the other party, she knew that the other party's strength was definitely far beyond her imagination. After all, even a peak Do Huang would not be able to easily block the killing move at such a close distance. Yunyan Dunyang, is this how you treat your savior? Chu Bei looked at Yunyan jokingly. Fortunately, he used the second level 8 item in time. A weakened version of Rinnegan. One of the mutated eyes in Naruto's world, which can perform a variety of dojutsu. The method of swallowing and transferring the extreme wind meteorite is one of its abilities. We don't owe each other anything. Yunyan's voice was cold, and the Do Chi wings appeared behind her. You can't leave yet. Just as Yunyan was about to flap her Do Chi wings and leave, Chu Bei blocked her path. He did not fly all the way from Wutan City to the Magic Beast Mountain Range to be a good guy, but to obtain the system's 50,000 willpower value. If he allowed Yunyan to leave now, then wouldn't everything that he had done be for naught? Could it be that he really did it for the sake of his belt getting wider? What are you trying to do? Yunyan stared at Chu Bei and frowned. I told you before, I am a merchant, and you are a customer that I have set my eyes on. Chu Bei's lips curled into a smile. You're looking for the amethyst winged lion for its purple spirit crystals. My black cloud crystals are 3 times as effective as this one. Black cloud crystal? Why have I never heard of it? Moreover, why should I believe you? Yunyan snorted. Because of this. Chu Bei shook the jade bottle in his hand that contained the blue spirit water. Yunyan stared at the jade bottle and fell into silence. The blue liquid in the bottle not only unsealed the amethyst seal, but also healed the wounds on her body. If this elixir was in the outside world, it would definitely be a treasure that Do Huang would fight over. Tell me, how can I get the black cloud crystal you speak of? Meeting Chu Bei's gaze, Yunyan finally could not help but speak. Whether you can get it or not will depend on your luck. Chu Bei smiled and waved his sleeve. The air trembled and rippled. A golden disc with a diameter of 1 meter appeared from the ripples, emitting a glaring light. At the top of the disc, the words, Level 7 Wheel of Fortune, were engraved. This is? Looking at the wheel that suddenly appeared, Yunyan's expression changed and her eyes were filled with confusion. The black cloud crystal is in these boxes. After Chu Bei finished explaining the rules of the Wheel of Fortune, he said, The price for 1 spin is 1 million gold coins. Of course, other than gold coins, anything of value is fine. Here are 5 rank 5 magic beast cores. Yunyan took out 5 magic beast cores from her storage ring. The system has received 50,000 willpower. The host has received 25,000 willpower. As the whirlpool in the center of the disc swallowed the 5 magic beast cores, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. In the next moment, the silver needle on the disc began to spin wildly. Ding! 5 square boxes floated in the air one after another. A look of anticipation appeared on Yunyan's face. Thank you for your patronage. 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 The 5 square boxes exploded at the same time, and all of them had the same 4 words on them. Yunyan was stunned at first, but when she came to her senses, she looked at Chu Bei and her expression darkened. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.